How's it going? How's it going? I have to say that I remembered that I have a TV in the studio now, and that instead of dragging out all my other devices so I can see the chat and everything that's going on, I remembered I could put stuff on the TV. And I have to say, I just watched the intro on the TV. It looks pretty good. Good job, you. Good job. Hey, good job, you guys. Because I know each and every single one of you told your mommies Happy Mother's Day today. I told her how much you appreciate her for ripping her B-hole to her V-hole to put you into this earth. So make sure you made her some French toast and pick her some dandelions or something. Or like my son did. My son sent me a picture of Walter White making meth, I guess. But what he's really making is the world's greatest mom. And that's me. I'm the good kind of meth, apparently. So that was really sweet. Made me cry. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. Real quick, make sure you smash the like button and the subscribe button and the bell button, okay? Sacrifice them to the algorithm gods so people see my shining face and stuff more often. And if you would like to support the channel, I would appreciate that so much because this shit's expensive. It is. It is. You can scan that QR code right there and you can tip me as much or as little as you like. It doesn't matter. I get super excited when anything comes through. So, yay! So we have got a great show today. This is going to be our last show for a couple of weeks. I'm going to take a brief little break. I've got some stuff I need to catch up on. And I usually schedule all the lives out like 3 months out. And we're at the end of this quarter, so I'm going to take a little break, catch up on some things, get some stuff edited and sent out to you, hopefully get some stuff in here upgraded so I can get back on the breakdown train, because I missed that so much. You have no idea. But that's enough of that, right? That's enough. Let's get our guests in here. First, let's welcome back to the channel, Miss Vex Electronica. Yay! What's up, lady?
I'm good. Happy Mother's Day.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm doing all right. Otherwise, how are you?
I'm good. My allergies are bothering me as usual, but I'll survive.
That time of the year. That's all it is. Get over the hump of the month, and then you're good.
And I'm in the Midwest, so there's ragweed all along my tree line, and it's been storming for the last couple of days, so I've basically been in bed with a migraine. I'm just like, leave me alone.
Oh my goodness. I'm allergic to basically everything but seasonal. Like, I don't get seasonal allergies, which is the funny part, I guess.
Well, it kills me because my peoples have been here for a couple hundred years. You think that my DNA would have
adapted or something by now, at the very least. Yeah, no. That's a good point.
No, I didn't get any of the Mexican sinus stamina or the Native American ability to handle all this stuff. It's just all Irish up in here. My innards would prefer if it was like 40 degrees and wet. So
That's fair. At least you can hold your liquor, right? There's that.
Yes,
positives.
Yes, and I'm out of booze here tonight. I'm really sad about it. If only someone had got mommy booze for Mother's Day. All right, real quick, for those who don't know who you are. Who are you and why should we care?
I'm Vex Electronica. I'm a woman biologically, and I'm brown. That's why I'm a YouTuber. I'm a podcaster. I'm in this. I'm still kind of fresh on the scene because I've been doing this for like the YouTube thing for like 6 months now. So yeah, I'm a gamer mainly, so I focus a lot of my content on gaming, but I've been delving into the pop culture stuff a little bit more on my channel. So I guess I'm a jack of all trades in that respect.
Your thumbnails are on point.
Thank you.
your insights, your analytics on that. What's that called again? Where your impressions and click through have got to be really good because you definitely have some very standout thumbnails.
I intentionally like kind of fret over the thumbnails because I know how the YouTube algorithm works. So I'm trying to play the game as much as I can, but well, it's working. It looks like
the best advice I have been given when it comes to the YouTube thing is to spend twice as long working on your thumbnail and putting half as much on it. So try to keep it simple, but definitely, think about it and make it eye-catching. And
that's the same advice I've been given by quite a few people, and I try to do that. But I'm also someone who just enjoys like more simple thumbnails, so I guess that works to my advantage even there. So
I noticed
go ahead.
Oh, I notice I get more clicks when I'm making a stupid face, like, or something like that. So
that's what I add, like googly eyes to my thumbnails to try and do that.
And if you notice, the bigger YouTubers, they all have an errant red arrow in a circle.
Yep.
So every single one of my thumbnails has an arrow or a circle. and Ro from Square Scuttlebutt Podcast has picked on me mercilessly for it. But hey,
if it's working, it's working. You can't pick on it then.
Exactly. I guess we should probably let our other guest on, since we just started talking without him. So, ladies and gentlemen, I believe this is... Shield Wall, is this your 5th time?
Hello, everybody. Yes, it is. It is my 5th time on the show.
That means you get the 5-timers jacket!
Awesome. Thank you.
Hooray!
I will keep it in my closet with all my other jackets.
I will send you your PNG so that you can wear or post it with pride.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for having me on today. So, and happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there and everybody. Yeah. I'm glad to be here. I think this is going to be a good topic. Is that a cat behind you, Vex?
It is, yes.
Okay. I just had to ask. Just want
to... There we go. Yeah, he's sleeping.
All right. Awesome. I'm happy to be here today and discuss the topic and everything. And again, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Anytime, man. Is your mouth all healed up now?
It is. Yep.
Good deal.
Hold on. Good. Mouth all healed up?
I had some stuff done on my... I had some work done.
Working double time there, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. So, but it's all better now. So, yep, exactly. Take that how you will. I know. I know. I was in the military for 26 years, so trust me, if I walked in the office and be like, I had some work done on my mouth, I would have never, exactly. I would have never heard the end of it. So, but thank you for asking. Appreciate that, Dan.
All right, guys. Now that we're done laughing about Shield Wall having stuff done to his mouth, let's say hi to the chat. So we've got Mrs. Cannoli Sasquatch. Hey, you sassy lady. I love it when you show up. And we've got the Scarf Scuttlebutt Podcast. What's up? And everyone else is us in the chat. But we do have some viewers, so maybe they'll pop in and say, hey. And Ro, I was just talking about you. Say you pick on me about my random arrows and circles on my thumbnails. But hey, it works. It works. All right, guys. So, first of all, happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. You can find us on all the socials. Just look up Comics and Cosmetics. the website right now, I think it's down for the next couple of weeks until I can get that straightened out. I had a fight with Square and I lost. So
what happened?
It's a long story, but I don't have my business anymore. And I don't use the swipey swipe, the POS system anymore. And so I said I wanted to drop that. I don't want it anymore. I just want the website stuff. They're like, oh, you can't do that. So, but that's not possible because you guys offer this.
That situation right there is the bane of my existence, where you go and you do something and people are like, oh, I don't know how to do it. And I'm like, I cannot be the first person in existence that's tried to do this before.
Yeah. I did online tech support for Spectrum when I had one of my knee surgeries a few years ago. And when they tell me they can't do this shit, I'm like, yeah, you can. Because
why would you want to turn away easy business too, even if it's just using your website? That's the other thing that I wouldn't understand.
They told me, they were like, well, you won't be able to sell anything online anymore. Well, I don't. It's a YouTube channel. What am I selling? Does it make any sense?
Yeah.
So I'm working that out. You can tell I'm anxious about it because my hands immediately went into my hair. I started doing this like,
you got to start delving into like dealing with supervisors, and eventually you'll hit that one person that actually knows what's going on.
Do you see how white I am? I am 42 years old, white woman who lives in the Midwest. My inner Karen is strong.
I don't know. I think you need a trim on your hair, and
things need to be a bit shorter up there.
Yeah,
before you can claim that.
Maybe a side shave.
Mini tattoos. My daughter has said before that you're like a good Karen. What would you call that? A Danielle. Duh.
Yeah.
Hello. I already have a name. Okay. So again, the website's going to be down for a little bit, but it's really not that big of a deal because I don't think a lot of people go to the website anyway, because all you have to do is just either go to the YouTube channel or go to any of the socials, and all the information is right there too. If you would like to support the channel, there are a few options for you. First and foremost, you can either scan the QR code or go to this website down here, and you can tip however much or as little as you like. There's no subscription. There's no obligation. It's just a way for you to say, hey, I like what you're doing. Here's $1. So there's that. There's also the Patreon, where it is a subscription, but the lowest tier is only $3 a month. And you get access to behind the scenes, outtakes, what's coming up, sneak peeks, tutorials. You get free merch every 3 months. And of course, there's 3 tiers. So the higher the tier, the better the merch you get. So there's that. Or you can just straight up buy merch, like the baseball tee that I'm wearing right here. We have coffee mugs. We have everything. You can put my face on a pillow and you can hug me good night. I don't know. You can have your dog sit on it. We'll stop there because my brain just turned into a 14-year-old boy immediately. Anywho, there are those things, and that's awesome. But today, on Mother's Day, the day for moms, which if you didn't get me anything for Mother's Day, you can QR code. Anyway, see what I did there? Today, we are talking about the benefits of fandom. So often we go down that road of, oh my God, I hate this. How could you do that? You've got gatekeepers. You've got people who are just, I don't know, never happy. and they, like, for example, did you guys see my post about the Facebook groups?
No.
I have had nothing but problems with Facebook groups. I hate Facebook. If anyone has talked to me about social media for more than 5 minutes, you'll know 2 things. 1, I genuinely have no fucking clue what I'm doing. 2, I hate Facebook. I am never on my personal Facebook. Somehow my Comics and Cosmetics Instagram will post to my personal Facebook, even though my Instagram says it's posting to the Comics and Cosmetics page, but it keeps doing that. And so people think I'm on my personal face. Anyway, it's annoying. But Facebook has something that the other platforms don't have. They have the groups, the specific groups and stuff. So there's a lot of Star Wars people who are very friendly. Everyone except Gatekeeper Glenn. He was a dick, but that's fine. He made me popular for 5 minutes. But I realized, well, I'm a big Star Trek nerd, and I've got all these people from Star Trek Picard that have been on my show. I should get in Star Trek groups. I've got like a million Star Wars groups. Let's do some Star Trek. So I joined a few Star Trek groups, and when I got to talk to Neville Page the other day, I was so excited about it. Like, oh, I'm going to show some Trek nerds. So I took a screen cap, didn't have my logo, didn't have a link, didn't have the name or that it was a channel or anything. It was just a screen cap of like right here. And I shared it, and it got denied because my QR code was up. And I said, oh,
Gotcha.
Sorry about that. It wasn't fundraising. I wasn't fundraising. I'm sorry. So I put a sticker over it. I put it up again. I'm like, guys, I'm so excited. I met Neville Page. He won an Oscar for Avatar. And they denied it again. And they said that they said I was promoting. I think I was not promoting. It's not even a finished video yet. It's just a screen capture. I haven't even edited it. It's not posted. I just wanted to talk about the guy who designed all the Star Trek shows for the last 10 years. And they denied it a third time. And they said, cool, period. It's still your brand. There's no logo. There's no name. There's no link. There's nothing. What is the problem? And they couldn't tell me, and they wouldn't give me a way to converse with them to discuss what the issue was. And the group was called Star Trek Wholesome Posting. So, like, listen, this isn't all of fandom. Not all fandom is like this. And this isn't what fandom is supposed to be. Like, think about the first time you really got into something, and then the first time you met someone that was super into that same thing you were into, and it was like, oh, the pearly gates open, the light shines down, and everything makes sense. You have found your weirdos. You have found your people. You have a tribe. And that's what fandom has always meant to me. But when that stuff kept happening, and it only happens on Facebook. I don't know what it is about Facebook. It's so, I don't know. Just, anyway, my nose itches. Does it mean someone loves me, or someone's going to visit? Everyone's got a different wives' tale for it. But I want to talk about the good things that have happened in our lives, or the benefits we have received from being a part of fandom, because there are good things. So, what's the first thing you think of, Vex, when you think of the benefits of fandom? What's the first thing that pops into your mind?
Oh, I get taken back to when IMDb still had discussion boards.
Oh, Lord.
I don't know if you guys remember that time, but I think it was right before the 2016 elections. They took them down because they were being too political. But I remember, anytime I'd watch like a movie or show, I'd go on to the IMDb page for it, and there would be people that would have the same thinking as me, or would want to have discussions about like a plot point or something. And I'm thinking, man, it's great that I can just find people on the internet to discuss these things that I'm already thinking, because even today, like, none of my friends are into like the same things. So it's like, sometimes it's very hard to be able to or they have a very shallow look at it all, right? There's no depth there. So it's very hard to discuss like a lot of things with them. Like, you have to kind of pick and choose your subject matter. So that's the first thing that comes to mind. And also the Supernatural fandom as well. I was a hardcore Supernatural fan.
Yes.
And I've been to some of their like conventions and everything. And that was like another time I was thinking, like, I think there were a lot of things that turned me off about that fandom, but I met like a lot of like really cool, interesting people. And then I guess on top of that, if it weren't for kind of wanting to talk about all of these things related to movies or TV shows or anime, I wouldn't have found any of the people that I stream and talk to on a regular basis today. Like, a lot of my YouTube and like content creation journey is thanks to fandom, in all honesty. So
Same.
a lot of positives.
Yeah, and think about how our friendships, even though, thank you. Thank God for text messaging. A lot of our online friendships, we've developed some very strong friendships online, never meeting in person, but those friendships are more solid, I would say, than some of
Mm-hmm.
people I have in real life. And that is, and I hate saying real life because
It
it
sounds
is
weird,
real.
right? Yeah.
Uh, physically here,
Mm-hmm.
I have more solid friendships online than I do here, and that's all thanks to fandom. I completely agree with you. Shield
Mm-hmm.
Wall. What do
Yes,
you
ma'am.
think of when you hear the benefits of fandom?
So for me, I think it goes even farther back. So let me relay this little story to you that I kind of was thinking about this topic. When I was a kid, Star Wars came out in the theater, but my parents wouldn't take me because they were like, I don't want to take you to that or whatever. So I remember going to school and people talking about it. And basically, I learned about the movie, like everything that happened from kids telling me the story
Mm-hmm.
verbally. Like, so then Luke does this and then he does this. So it was almost like sitting around an ancient campfire while you had a storyteller tell you and you're absorbing all this. And that was my like big introduction. That was like the first big thing that I was interested in for like nerddom. And that leads me into my next point is that every friend I've ever had was based off of talking about games, books, fantasy, those kinds of things. And also, I can attribute that to every girlfriend I never had was talking about that stuff. So, because back then it was lady repellent for sure. But
Mm-hmm.
um, but yeah. So even after you become an adult and you go to work and you're working in a serious career field where you're making life and death decisions and stuff like that, it still permeates the entire thing, everybody talking about it, like Game of Thrones and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. So like you couldn't go anywhere without anybody talking about it, anybody, like even people you wouldn't even think were into stuff. um, so it's had a huge impact on my life, with and also I learned so much. So I've read a lot of books, but most of the books I've read a lot of nonfiction books,
Mm-hmm.
like Sun Tzu and Clausewitz and all that kind of stuff, for like for military reasons, but and history books and things like that, and geography and all that always interested me. But what always tied into that was the fantasy aspect of stuff, like Lord of the Rings, reading those books, and The Hobbit, and different like Conan, all that kind of stuff. And it really fired my imagination. And what I learned from that shaped me as a person was it's hard these days to see heroism in action. I mean, with the internet,
Mm-hmm.
it's a little bit easier, but you read about it in the paper, but you never really saw it as a kid that you could say, okay, this is who I need to look up to, besides maybe your dad, right? But
Yeah.
they weren't out like slaying dragons and stuff. In the books, though, they
Damn
were.
it, Dad.
And then they had taglines and things like that you would remember. And even later in life, as an older person, you still think, okay, what would this person do? Okay, I got to live up to those standards. And you get a lot of that stuff if if you're religious and you read like the Bible or the Quran or whatever, but it all kind of ties together into that, you know, what it makes a person. And, you want to be like Riker, you want to be like Picard, you want to be like, Dr. Crusher. And you don't want to be, like a regular person, I guess. And it can motivate you to be better than yourself, to be better to other people because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you meet the like-minded people, right? And you can instantly start a conversation with somebody with no prior connection. I mean, look at Vex and you. I mean, you can't see me, but because I'm a dragon. But anyway, who, you could meet in an airport, be total complete strangers. What would you normally have in common besides being women?
Great
That would
hair.
Well, right. But that would be it, right? But you could start talking if somebody brought up, "Hey, did you see the latest episode of Star Trek?" And you could immediately get into it. Whether it was a good opinion or bad opinion, you had a
Mhm.
common ground to talk about. And that it broke the ice so easily, and then you could become friends right away, even with people you don't know anything about. And it permeates cultures and different languages. Some of this stuff does if it's like a really big franchise that's seen around the world. And if you just go to a comic-con, you can see that there's people that don't speak a lick of English going to these things, but
Mhm.
you're united in that love of that thing. And so I don't want to get too weird, but it's almost like going to the Vatican. You know
No,
what I mean?
that's very
So
true. And when when you're a kid, and like in my case, I was very different. I was going through very traumatic stuff. I was having my body stretched and cut up, and you know, pretty much living in the children's hospital. Um, those silly little comic books and cartoons and sci-fi movies, they were there for me. I was telling Dave last night that Dune, and I've told you this last week, I think, Shield Wall, that Dune taught me how to deal with pain. I'm a
mhm.
chronic pain sufferer. When I was a very small kid, I was a chronic pain sufferer, and I'm talking extreme pain. My leg was being stretched 7 inches, and they were doing it too fast, and I went
And
into
here's the thing about that,
shock.
because we have that commonality of that franchise. I
Yeah,
know immediately what you're talking about.
yeah. I will not fear. Fear is the mind killer. I will let my fear wash over me and pass through me. But I changed it to pain, because pain is not a physical, tangible thing. It's something that only you are experiencing. It's only in your head. But Dune taught me how to meditate and convince myself that it wasn't happening or that I was somewhere else.
Mhm.
Dune taught me that. And if I tell that to anyone else who hasn't watched Dune or doesn't really care about Dune, or not really super into that kind of stuff, they would look at me like I was a nut job. Especially down here in the Bible Belt, they'd say, "Well, why don't you just pray to Jesus?" Okay,
Well, and that can
this is
be
what makes sense to me.
Mhm.
an aspect of it.
Yes.
And I think maybe long ago that would be the commonality. Everybody had read like a certain kind of Bible or something, or whatever the
Yeah.
religious text was. They had it memorized, and then you could recite it back. But the way that modern society is gone, and even in ancient times, people still loved off those stories, like
Oh,
verbal
absolutely.
or bards singing about Robin Hood.
Uh-huh.
That was how you got it. It wasn't really written down anywhere because most people couldn't read or afford a book. But you went
Mhm.
to the inn, and a bard made up a story or a poem about him and his, merry men and everybody, and they sang it. And it might, you might have to come back over multiple nights to hear the whole tale or something. That way he could keep getting paid.
You
and
know,
but but those the transmission of those stories verbally and on now it's on Medium, like what we're doing
mhm,
here. But
we're
this
spoiled
is
for choice.
almost like what we're doing here is almost like sitting around a fire 1,000 years ago. But now people that aren't even in the next to us, they could be, I mean, technically somebody on the space station up there could be watching this.
I just had something that would be cool. I just had something kind of strike me, and I've got to put my hair up because I'm not going to stop, guys. I'm gonna.
Just give in,
There we
and
go.
keep messing with it.
Um, it just kind of struck me. I've always felt like, you know, the comic books and everything, the new mythology. I've always felt that way. I've always believed it 100%. But you know, have you actually read any of the Old Testament? Because some of it is like, whoa. I mean, Moses was a total freaking badass for years. He was a general of Pharaoh's army before he settled down, had kids, and found out he was Hebrew. And after that, he became a badass of a different kind. Um, but I can imagine or think about it, being back in biblical times and hearing these stories, that's like their Avengers Endgame or something. That's like, wow, that is
Mhm.
so cool. So, first of all, the first part of my thought was one, religions totally the first fandoms. I mean,
Yeah.
look at how the cults in ancient Egypt and Greece, or the mysteries they were called, would, oh well, you're the cult of Ra, I'm cult of Isis, and they would battle each other. Mhm. And there's also this, you were talking about sitting around the fire shield wall and sharing these stories and having this bond over it. Well, my Irish heritage, my ancestors celebrated Samhain, and Samhain was a harvest festival. It was the celebration of all your hard work throughout all the spring and summer, the planting, the sowing, the rowing. It's all over with. We've got all this food. Let's party and celebrate, because now the days are going to become shorter and the nights longer. So they would have this huge bonfire in the middle of the village, this huge, huge sacred fire. And by the time the whole festival was over, everyone would take a torch from the fire, like a stick, a piece of the fire home, and light their home hearth with it, indicating, signifying that they were all of one fire. They're all of one hearth. They're just one people.
Mm-hmm.
And doing stuff like this and broadcasting out there to the whole world is kind of like that. We are taking the hearth of our fandom, that flame in our heart for the things that we love, and we're sharing it with people all over the world and becoming of one heart.
I see it. Yeah. No, that's a
Hi, Copa.
go ahead, Shield Wall.
Yes, go.
I was just going to say, it reminds me of an adage or a thing that I heard, and it's so true, is that you can light an unlimited number of candles off of one candle.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, if that candle burns forever, you can just have an assembly line where candles go by, touch the wick, and then they light and keep going. So as long as that candle stays lit, you can light all other candles off of it, an unlimited number. So that's kind of what strikes me.
Well, I really wish that, because I mean, look at Twitter, Facebook, and all of it, how I genuinely don't care what other people like. You can like whatever you want. You're a human being. I'm not going to shame you for liking it. But when you come at me and tell me I shouldn't like what I like and that I'm wrong for liking it, first of all, that's not even possible. That's not even possible. Then that's where there's a problem. Who are you to tell somebody else what they like is wrong? That's not up to you. The fighting is what gets me. That, like this, like we were saying, this is supposed to be our limitless candle. This is supposed to be something that brings us together and bonds us as people. Because, I mean, we were all the weird kids growing up, the nerdy, weird kids, And when we found other people that liked this stuff that we did, it bonded us and it gave us a home, so to speak. So when I see people using that fandom online, where there's no physical consequences for their actions, calling people names, saying that Americans can be James Bond, then that's when I get almost personally offended. I'm like, hey, you are taking this wonderful thing, this almost sacred thing that bonds people, and you're using it in a twisted way, like you're perverting it, you're corrupting it, you're using it in a corrupted way. And that just drives me crazy, because I'll just keep going if someone doesn't jump in.
No, you're good. You're good. But I mean, even if you're using it negatively or you're attacking people or whatever, there's always people behind those individuals as well, right? So in a way, that's their own benefit of fandom, because there's a whole other candle being lit off of that. So to one side it looks bad because you yourself are being attacked for liking a particular thing, which I agree. Nobody has any right to tell you what you're allowed or not allowed to like, but that's them just on the other side of that's their cult. There you go.
Makes sense. Makes
Mhm.
sense. But I've seen so many people like, okay, this cosplay thing, and a lot, I guess a lot of younger people are going to roll their eyes at me, but this cosplay thing is actually relatively new for the worldwide fandoms. I remember the first time I heard the word cosplay, and I thought it was like a perverted thing. Like, oh, you're into cosplay. It sounded like role play. Like, you're into cosplay. Okay. I never remember. I'm middle aged, so to me, this thing's relatively new. Like when we were kids and teenagers and stuff, people didn't really do that stuff.
Mhm.
And then when we got older, we started hearing about this LARPing and cosplay. And then when I really looked into it, I was like, oh, so I've been doing that. Like you can dress up in these costumes and it's not Halloween. I only dress up in these costumes on Halloween because Halloween gives me an excuse to dress up in these
Yeah.
costumes.
I mean,
So
as kids, we used to. Who didn't get like a like a pillowcase and make a cape out of it?
mhm,
You thought I was going
yeah,
somewhere else, didn't you? But make a cape out of it, or like a sheet or something, and make a cape out of it, or put on an extra put on like a pair of sweatpants and then put a pair of shorts over it so it became tights,
Mhm.
and pretend like you're flying around and you got superpowers or whatever, or put a pot on your head and say, "I'm a soldier," playing in the backyard.
beat your
Um,
brother with a wiffle ball bat pretending it's a lightsaber.
yes, or
No,
just a wiffle ball bat because it's fun. But
accidentally hit him in the back of the head with an aluminum baseball
but
bat once.
yeah, so people were always doing it. It just wasn't at a group thing in a convention anywhere.
Right.
Mhm.
And because it wasn't like that, there was no reason to really get like super creative with it. You know what I mean? But once you start putting it in a public forum, well, now it's got to be higher quality and look better. And then you start having competitions, and before you know it, you're at a big convention with booth babes trying to sell you stuff. And and I think that some of the earlier cosplay, you know, it was very rudimentary and basic and very grassroots. And then
Mhm.
as it got bigger and bigger and bigger, it became more popular for people to do. And now there are people that you wouldn't even think would do that kind of stuff is doing it now, to the
Yep.
point where they're paying thousands of dollars. Like, oh, what's his
Oh,
name at the
They're
yeah.
Met?
making a
Yeah,
living off of it now.
yeah,
Yeah.
and Jared Leto at the Met Gala looking like a cat in a full cat suit. Um,
He came in as Carl, what's
his
cat.
that his biggest flex would have been if he would have left that thing on the entire time. Never
Yeah.
Yeah,
took it
didn't
off.
change outfits.
Yep,
Yeah.
didn't change
Yeah, they
outfits. He
make them
just
with little
rolled in
air
that thing.
conditioners in there.
Yeah, yeah. He would have had like a little oxygen tank and maybe like a thing to drink some water
Dave
out
was like, "How much she spend on that? Like $500?" I'm like, "You
of.
better try about
Add a couple zeros to that.
100,000 probably." I
Mhm.
that hair was hand punched. I promise you.
Mhm.
Like, he's Jared Leto. He has his own freaking island with the cult. He
Yeah,
spent
he can
100.
afford it.
Yeah, I
And
promise.
one other thing is, so I apologize, I'm old, so if I don't get my thoughts out, they'll leave my head.
You're
And
good.
then so one other thing, we're going back to talking about the power of that one candle that can light other candles, is the reason that people start gravitating towards it. When I mean that is people that want to change society or interject their own ideas, and you might say pollute the stream, is that they see the power of that and they want to
Mhm.
grasp it and they want to use it to push their narrative or their agenda or whatever. And if you go back in history, that's what happens. Like, one king kills another and they go and get his painting and they retouch it to make him look more evil, right?
Yeah.
And and or they chisel someone's face off in um in Egypt. One pharaoh supplants another one, and they try to erase that person from history by chiseling all their stuff off. Because even though the common person couldn't read the hieroglyphs, they could see it, and it was a story, and you could read it left to right, and you could kind of get the idea. Hey, look, there's a bird-headed dude. He's fighting this half alligator guy with some scales, and there's like stars in the night. And this dude has an axe, and here comes that cat-headed chick that's kind of hot, and now we're gonna fight each other. And this guy's dual wielding, and everything. And so we're still making stories about that to this day, movies, whatever. And so people see that has those stories have a power, and a power to change the world for good or bad. Like last week's episode, look at how much good has been done from Star Trek based off of that one show, how many new things we have and ideas and progress we've made socially, medically, all those things. Well, the same thing can be done if you want to, propagandize stuff. And so we're in that battle now, that push and pull of where it's going to happen. And if you look at history, it's happened over and over and over again, time and again. And one thing will rise up and supplant the other. And in a few generations, all things that people knew that were like rote ideas that people could recite no problem are totally gone. They don't even exist anymore. So we have no idea what the Vikings really thought. There's no written stories. There's a couple of rune stones and what their enemies wrote or people adjacent to them wrote, but we don't know what they actually thought. We don't really know what their hair looked like, that kind of stuff. Like we have no real idea. So we just kind of have these braids that look cool on the show, Vikings, and roll with it. But I guess where I'm going with this is the power of that ability for people to be drawn to this also makes it enticing to people that want to control or change things, and use it for their own ends, whether it be good or bad. So that was my point, I guess.
That's a non-benefit of fandom there, Zach's.
Well, wait, it's only if Zach's grandmother told him, then it's valid. Anybody else,
gotcha.
Don't listen to it. But if his grandmother told him, I don't care what they told you in school. Yeah.
Oh my God. Missouri weather. I'm just waiting for Vex's brown magic to, like, is this going to happen? Or you?
Yeah, I was like, wait.
You made a comment on a Twitter post about The Witcher 3, saying how their magic was based on Indian dance, and she's like, I can't wait to see this brown magic.
Oh my God. See, it's hard to pick out the benefits of fandom these days because it does feel kind of polluted and it's been co-opted by all these other things now. And with like the younger generations now falling for all of these like identity politics and equality stuff and all that, it's tiresome. That's all. I find it very insulting, whatever they're doing. I don't give a fuck if she's a brown actress or not. Like it's Polish lore. What the fuck does an Indian dance have to do with Polish lore? There's tons that you can pull out of history there to make it more accurate, but it's about the representation, right? So
that's why Henry Cavill is like, fuck it, I'm done.
What they should have said was that her movements were inspired by her she's Indian, right?
Indian heritage or
Indian
something
heritage,
like that.
right? Her Indian roots and the way that she, learned to dance when she was a child, and she's adding that to the performance to give it its own thing and make it more of her, not that it's based on this. I mean, I guess it kind of is, but they could have worded it different to where they're still getting the point across without making it all about, hey, tune in because she's brown. This is basically what they said.
Pretty much, yeah.
I'm not a fan of that I don't know if it's behavior or tool that they use. Like I've said this many times, but it doesn't make it any less true. They do the same thing with disabled people, and sometimes way worse, because, and I always use this as an example, the double amputee on Lock and Key. Every time you see this dude, he's wearing shorts, snow on the ground, shorts. Why? So we don't forget that he's an amputee, and that's literally the only thing about him. That's it.
That's his identifier. That's his personality.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. You know, when I was in high school, they called me Peggy the Pirate, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. People called me that so much they thought that was my name, Peggy. I was Peggy. But I would just get so irritated if people would ask why. Is it because I don't want to be defined by this one thing that I happen to be? Like, there's so much more to me than the fact that I have a peg leg. Like, why is this such a big deal? I do
Yeah.
so much more. And when I watch anything with an amputee on it, that's all they talk about, and that's all you see. I'm like, listen, why is this guy? Where's the rest of his pants? He's a human being. He gets cold and he's wearing metal legs. Trust me, he wants pants. Okay? There's one, he's cold. Two, he doesn't want to stand out for that reason. I promise you, he does not. They do it anyway. The only time I have seen it done well is Echo. That actress is an amputee, just like mine, but they gave her pants, thank you, and they didn't make it a central focus. They didn't make it her identity and draw your eye to it every single time. The only time they really did, and I loved it, is when she kicked some guy, and I was like, yeah, that would happen. That's fun. Good for you. Good for you. But
no, I'm 100% in the same boat. I don't like this whole brown representation shtick, this skin color shtick, because I'm a person underneath it. I'm more than just my skin color, and it's pretty racist to narrow me down to just that, even if it is for representation, right? So
insulting.
yeah,
It's
it is.
insulting.
It's very insulting. It's extremely insulting. Like I mean, we're diverting a little bit, but it's like I'm in fucking Canada, so we're one of the most liberal countries in the world that you can think of. And there have been several instances where I've been hired simply because of the color of my skin or because I have a vagina. So
That's hurtful.
It's very hurtful because I try to showcase who I am, not what I am, and it's extremely insulting to know that what I can offer is not enough. It's just, can you show that you have a brown person on your staff? So
I would be like, okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show up and I'm going to sit right there on that couch where people can see me. I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to play on my phone. I'm going to read some books, maybe watch some movies. But you've hired me for the purpose of being here and being brown, and mission accomplished. I don't have to do anything else.
To be honest, those have been the most miserable places I've worked at, so I left them pretty quickly, in all fairness, because again, a workplace that, promotes that as a forefront to worry about is not a good place to be
That's
at.
what
Yeah.
that's what I liked about the military. I don't know, it's changed, I guess, a little bit since I left, but when I came in, they kind of cared less about, the concept is they care less about who you are and where you came from as to who you can be and what you will bring to the table. Are you competent? Do you have the right core values? And they attempt to teach you these things. And if you can conform to what they need, then you're accepted. It doesn't matter if you're a woman, if you're, brown or black, or where country you came from. They even let you serve if you're not a citizen on to get an accelerated path to citizenship. Now you can be openly gay, you can be trans. So there's really no barrier to entry other than, do you meet the minimum standard? And they have to have them for, practical reasons. And that really drew me to it. I really liked it, and I grew up around it. So I didn't have a lot of uh, like ideas that certain people that maybe only grew up in a certain area and never traveled or had experiences of other people other than what they saw on TV or were negative or anything.
Welcome to where I live.
And to answer people's in the chat, yes, that is why I know that brown magic is a real thing, because of how I grew up, was just with, you really, when I went to the high school I went to, you really couldn't say bad things about anybody because everybody was from somewhere, and so many of them were mixed that it was, but also,
especially the soldiers who went to Germany.
Yes.
I'm just saying, if a brown dude went to Germany as a soldier, he came back with a pretty blonde white wife.
Yes. Yeah, but I guess the point I'm getting at is that when I got exposed to those things, and then throughout the rest of my career, you travel to all these different places, and you see the religions, and you eat the food, and you taste the water, and you breathe the air, and it's like a real thing. Like,
Hmm.
that's why I like the Southwest so much. It feels so much different than any other place I've been in America. Uh, they each have their own like feeling in the air. It's almost like electricity,
Yeah.
and smells and things. Like when I go to South Dakota, I get a whole different feeling. It's a good feeling, but it's a different feeling.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I feel the most balanced when I'm in the Southwest.
I live in an area um, well, it's right above the boot heel of Missouri. If you don't know what the boot heel is, look at Missouri. Which part of it looks like the heel of a boot? There you go. I'm right above it. I'm an hour south of St. Louis. That's the only way. People are like, you live in Missouri? Yeah. Where? Well, I live right. Oh, St. Louis? Yeah. There you go. I'm originally from St. Louis. Like where I'm from Ferguson, guys. I'm from Ferguson. I was the only white kid where I lived. When I moved to this area, I was like, Ma, look at all the white people. There's so many white people. Oh my God. But it is very country, in the respect that very small town, Bible Belt. Um, if you are different in any way, they just, what is that? But there's so many people in this area where I live that have never left. They've never left. They've never left
Hmm.
the area. They've never left the state. Nothing. And here I lived in Hawaii. I lived in Texas, Florida. I went all over the country. I've been places. I've never gotten to leave the country. I really like to. But raising kids and all that. Happy Mother's Day. Um. Anyway, uh, I remember the first time I left. I moved away. I moved to Hawaii for 5 years. I mean, culture shock. Hawaii is like a totally different country. It is so different there. Like everything is done differently. It's so different there. I asked them if they celebrate Halloween, and they looked at me like I was crazy. I'm like, listen, if you were me and you came here, you would ask that question too, because it is so weird here. It's so different, but it was cool. I liked it.
Hmm.
Anyway, um, when I came back, it was just like, I looked at this place in a totally different way. All
Hmm.
the snotty bitches you went to school with wearing their velvet little cat suits and last year's coach standing in the Walmart line, like looking down their nose at you. And the first thought you're thinking is, bitch, I saw that bag at a yard sale in Hawaii 3 years ago. Eh. Like, nah, nah, nah. Shush it. But the one thing that I like about where I live, the one thing I like about where I live is that we have a very F you, we do what we want attitude. When the
Hmm.
whole COVID debacle was going on, life went on as usual down here. Like the only place you would have an issue was like a government building. But if you drove, and this is where Shield Wall you were talking about things feeling different when you go like to the Southwest or to Dakota or whatever, if you would drive 20, 30, 45 minutes up the road, totally different. Totally
Hmm.
different. Everything was locked down. Everyone's mask Nazis and social distance and like to the point where they're threatening to arrest you. Down here, none of that happened. None of it. And I mean none of it. Nobody cared. They tried to criminalize not wearing masks, like
Hmm.
health board, a non authority, like non voted into office. They're
Not an authority, basically.
not
Yeah.
authority. Um, not elected. That's what I was trying to say. Brain. Um, they tried to say that if you go into a business and I owned a business at the time, and they didn't have a sign up requiring you to wear masks, that they would be fined $1,000 and get shut down, and you could get possible jail time. Well, my old lawyer said, "Oh, you think so? Well, you're not a governing body, so you can't criminalize shit. So get rid of this or we're suing you." So they got rid of it. Like it was that simple. And when they tried to say that we still had to put up a sign, the sheriff, the super corrupt sheriff, mind you, of this area, actually said, "I got more important shit to do with my time than worry about people wearing fucking masks." I was like, yeah.
A lot of I know a lot of people talk shit about Americans in the United States, but I quite honestly I admire you guys even more for that, because it was a totally different experience up here. Like, sure, I live in a small community north of Toronto, but I mean, even like they were a little more lenient of it, but you would still have, the lineups, the stickers, the mandatory this and that. But then you go to Toronto and it's like there was a point where I had $6,000 of outstanding fines for not following the COVID policy up here. Yeah, it was, and they would threaten like jail time and stuff like that. There was okay, bit of a side tangent. I have some crazy stories for COVID, but so my husband is in Florida and I'm awaiting a visa to move down there to be with him. So the first time I went to go see him, I flew down straight out of Toronto down to Orlando. And when I came back, because of the whole like you were only allowed to come back in if you had, the pokes, right? Um so I didn't have it, but I'm a natural citizen and by law you're supposed to allow your natural citizens back into their country of origin. So instead of just letting me go home, even though, I had proper documentation and I wasn't putting up a fuss or anything, they held me at Toronto International for almost 4 hours. It was past midnight by the time I actually left. And they just interrogated me, essentially. There were three public health officers and then 6 or 7 Toronto police officers. And they're like, like you either have to get someone, what was it? You either have to get someone to come pick you up or we're going to send you to the quarantine hotel that's down the street. I'm just like, I literally have a place to, oh yeah, because you had to declare where you were going to quarantine or whatever. And I'm
Oh,
like, I have a home because my parents are with me as well, and they're, of the, susceptible age or whatever. And I'm like, this is the address on my license. This is the address on any documentation I have. Like, they're aware of it. And just like, no, because of their age, we can't send you there. I'm like, it's my fucking home. What do you want me to do?
I have
They
no
were
other
really
answer.
yeah, they were really ready to send me to a quarantine hotel, which by the way have their own fucking cascade of issues, like people breaking into rooms because there's no locks on any of the doors there so that they can come in and make sure that you're following all the rules. There
But
were reports of sexual assault and rape like off the charts.
you guys are supposed to be like Mecca or something. It's supposed to be this wonderful, magical place where there's no crime.
Yeah, I thought everybody in Canada rode on mooses and drank maple syrup.
I wish. But essentially they slapped me with the first one was a $2,500 fine and the second one was just over $3,700. And I to each of them I'm just like, I'm not fucking paying this for just coming home and like I'm not hurting anyone. I'm not doing anything bad. And then they would have people they would send you calls, texts and emails because you'd have to abide by the quarantine policy. So you'd have to then sit in front of a nurse on a computer and do a fucking swab test and everything so you could send that on day 8 of your 14-day quarantine. It was
That's
it was
hellish.
absolutely ridiculous. It's
That's hellish.
absolutely ridiculous. And one of those times, sorry, go ahead.
No, I would go ahead because I was going to say.
Oh no, one of those times I did the test and like they send like I guess you guys have what USPS is the postal service down there.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
our equivalent, right, was supposed to come and pick it up. You schedule a thing. I'm just like, hey, like no one came to pick it up. You like because they instruct you to put it in a spot where it stays dry and all that stuff. And I'm just like, no one came to pick it up, and the next pickup is in 5 days. Is my test even going to be valid? And they're just like, oh no, it's fine. This thing was sitting out in the cold all day. It got covered in rain, and they're like, no, we'll still take a 5-day-old test that hasn't been refrigerated or properly cared for.
That's because half of that was theater.
Yeah.
It was safe. It was security theater.
So here's the other thing though. Like, because they would also, like, there were a lot of, I was in like a lot of different forums to keep like an eye on what was going on. So because of where I am, I'm quite far outside the city and I'm in an extremely rural area. So to come and do like a home checkup, it's really inconvenient for whoever is doing it. But people that lived in communities that were much closer to the city, they actually would have police officers come to their door to make sure that they were still at home, which is wild.
So I almost got arrested just a few months ago. I had to go to the Social Security office because I retired because I'm disabled still. Like I never wasn't, but you got to prove it. So
the leg wasn't enough, eh?
I'm like, I'm not a spider. It's not going to grow back. That's the practical thing I've said. It doesn't matter. Once they told me that they made the medical decision that I was no longer disabled. And I was like, who's the doctor? Oh, there's no doctor. So
what?
How am I medically not disabled anymore? It's still gone. Anyway, so I had to go to the Social Security office, and the same security guard that has worked there for like 30, 40 years is working there. And he comes in and he asks you, do you have any weapons in your purse? Which he never looks. He just asks if you do, and you say no. He's not wearing a mask. This is important. He is not wearing a mask. I look out. They are forcing everyone to social distance still. This was just a few months ago. They've got signs up saying, because they've got plexiglass at all the casework windows, and they got the chairs pulled back, and they say it's against federal law for you to move this chair. So don't touch the chair. You have to sit like 6 feet away from the desk, but you can still like get up, hand them paper, and go sit back down. Like, it's very difficult for me to do that right now.
Because of the leg situation, like it's
right now. Because my actual only existing leg is shot.
You mean from the disability that you don't have anymore?
So I go in and he asks all these questions. He's like, do you have a mask? And I said, yeah. So I put on my little Wonder Woman mask and I was wearing it like this. Hold on. Like this. Okay. I'm sitting there minding my own business. And the security guard says, ma'am. And I'm like, are you talking to me? And he's like, yeah, you need to put your mask on. Yeah, it's on. No, you need to pull it up further.
Huh?
I immediately started thinking of Super Troopers. I'm already pulled over. I can't pull over anymore. I'm like, I've already got it up there. I can't pull it up anymore. He's like, you need to cover your nose entirely. And I'm like up to my eyeballs. My nostrils are cut. What more do you want? And I had a lot of surgery as a kid. I mean, I've had more orthopedic surgery. I've been put under, knocked out more times than I am years old. And I had some very abusive relationship where they did this to me. It freaks me out to put anything.
That was a common thing I heard about the whole masking situation, is like you will bend the knee for all these people that, safe spaces and shit. But when someone is bringing up a legitimate psychological concern to you about something that was very traumatic to them, you're just like, oh, fuck you. You got to wear a mask still anyways. I don't care if you literally have a mental breakdown over it.
I had this lady call my salon and ask me, well, I assume you will be wearing a mask. I said, ma'am, no, I have post-traumatic stress and I cannot wear anything over my face for an extended period of time because it causes a severe attack. She's like, oh, it's just a haircut. You'll be fine. Yeah, so will you. I hung up the phone. But anyway, I'm suffering through it to try and, get Uncle Sam to agree that I'm disabled so I can retire. And he keeps yelling at me, telling me I need to pull my mask up more. So I turn my phone on and try to record it, but I'm 42 and don't know how to make that work properly. So I'm like, I had like a second, I'm like, look, Dave, I recorded it. And you see the ceiling in like half a second and it shuts off. I was like, apparently it doesn't work when you lock the phone. So he keeps yelling at me to put my mask on. I'm like, it's on. what more do you want? I like take a picture of myself. I'm like, it's on. And he says, ma'am, if you don't correct your mask, I will call the police. And I turned around and I looked at him and said, do it. Call the Park Hills Police Department that is one under investigation from the FBI for corruption and two has more meth heads than they can handle right now. You call them and you tell them that you want them to come here and drag this middle-aged disabled woman out of the Social Security office and arrest her for not wearing her mask up high enough on her nose. Do it. I want to see it happen.
Ridiculous. This was all just a fucking power play.
Sir, I'm gay.
Put your mask on, please.
And he'd have been like, oh, I'm sorry. Do whatever you want all the time.
Oh my God. It's all ridiculous. But luckily, throughout COVID, we had Fandom. I brought it right back around. We had Fandom and we could make friends online and bitch about all of this. That was a wonderful experience, finding like-minded people all over the world who thought, this is bullshit. This is total bullshit.
Total bullshit. And it's been co-opted by the same kind of power-hungry nut jobs that were doing all this shit during lockdowns, right? It's really disappointing.
It seems to have springboarded even more into this whole, well, we've got too many white people in this movie about white people, or we've got too many men in this movie about men. We should make a few of them women. And the one man that's in it, let's make him useless or something like that. It feels like after COVID, that stuff got way more.
If they don't understand the source material, like what the original author or creator was trying to do, like, I don't know, Peter Pan and Wendy, let's use that as an example. They destroy the narrative, not the narrative, but like the point of the thing. Like putting girls in Lost Boys destroys what the Lost Boys are.
There were girls
they
destroyed.
In the Lost Boys?
Yes.
They destroyed what Wendy was even symbolic of in the original Peter Pan tale for, girl power and all that stuff too.
They didn't get why. Okay, so like if you replace Wendy with a boy, right, she doesn't work. If you put girls in the Lost Boys, they don't work.
No.
If they changed Peter Pan and what his motivations were,
and it didn't work.
And it didn't work. They changed Tiger Lily. She was almost pointless in the thing anyway, the way they changed it. But so that, they made it a girl power moment for Wendy, and she's this and that and whatever, and I don't need no man and all this kind of stuff. And so they show her how to go through this flashback where she like flashes forward to see her entire life, and I need to grow up and I need to be mature. But at no point in any of that did it show her with children or a husband or anything. It was just like,
she was a lonely old woman.
Yeah, I'm writing stories and I'm doing adventures, and now I'm laying on a couch. So it showed her growing up and then why she needed to get out of there, but to get out of Neverland, but it didn't show what her potential was. Well, it did, but it didn't. And so it kind of made her, it's like, okay, so you just want to go like do adult stuff. It wasn't that you come to the realization by seeing the Lost Boys that you need to grow, and because the Lost Boys want her to be their mother.
Yes.
Remember that from the show? They're like, ooh, Wendy, can you be our mother? And what it shows is the Lost Boys went there because they didn't want to grow up, but they missed their mothers. But that point is, I guess you could say that it works, that girls can be the same way, but they're not. Girls mature faster than boys. The point of the Lost Boys is they don't want to grow up because they're too dumb to figure out that that's not how you should live. And we are seeing that in our society these days, where young men have no desire to move beyond a certain point in life. Hey, I got my Xbox, I got my juice box, and I got my COD. I'm good. They will literally live in a shoebox with no furniture and be happy.
Yeah. See my living room.
Right. But you know what I mean? So those are, you can equate that to the Lost Boys. And that's what the author was trying to get at, is growing up. And
the differences between boys and girls, and how where one picks up where the other one lets off.
And the story, it just got savaged in the ratings. It's got like I can't, it was like a 13% or something, and it just,
I think it's 12% now is
yeah,
the
and
last
that's
I
the audience
heard.
score,
Yeah.
and the even the wokest of the woke critics are like, it's kind of So yeah, Copa with this juice box. But see, but Copa's on a journey now where he has well, him and Jonna, they have a daughter, and he's already exposing her to like the culture. Conan. She's watching Conan with him.
Yeah.
She's gonna rule kindergarten with an iron fist. But
Oh, she's gonna lead armies. We've already
yeah,
discussed this.
yeah, yep. He's probably out back making the wheel of pain right now. Like just chain her to it
So
for 10
I
years.
raised
Really
my
good.
kids in my crazy fandoms too, and they're all just as weird as I am. And like I showed you guys what my son sent me for Mother's Day.
This is honestly the plan I have for my own kids too. It's like I've been pretty straightforward with like telling my husband like here's like the things that are like our kids are going to grow up with. Like I don't want them to grow up with any of this garbage. I don't want them to grow up thinking that Peter Pan and Wendy is Peter Pan, you know. I want them to experience the classics. I want them to understand what these were all built upon, what these were all supposed to mean, right? So actually,
Right.
it's really disappointing now I think about
Yeah.
that. That's
Yeah.
probably going to be a lot of kids' first exposure
It
to Peter
is.
Pan, that movie.
Yeah.
And let me be clear, I don't have any problem with like any of the actors that played in it
Oh,
or
yep.
or anything like that. They did a good enough job. It's just that updating stuff for a modern era, if you mess with something that's 112 years old, you're going to screw it up because it's from the
Well,
voice of somebody from 112 years old again. So it'd be like going back to the 15th century and being like, you know what, this Shakespeare dude had it all wrong. Let's rewrite it for the modern era, and and then erase what he did. We'll just throw it
yeah.
in the dumpster. And you're
Mhm.
like, well, you can't understand what people's mindsets were from that era without reading it, how they wrote it down.
They did that to, I mean, she's not 15th century, but she's very important to me. They did that to Anne Rice with Interview with the Vampire.
Ugh.
I am so Bex is like, not this again. No,
I don't even acknowledge it. It doesn't exist.
how can you put her name on that hot garbage? I told Dave, I said, this was the talk in the writer's room. Like, hand me that Witching Hour book. She's dead now, right? All right, rip everything out of the insides of the cover. No, keep the cover. We want the cover. Take the insides out. Put them on the back of the toilet for future dated toilet paper. That'll work. And now, give me the used toilet paper and stuff that in the cover. There we go. Anne Rice's Witching Hour.
For
That's
a
what
modern audience.
they took it all out. They took out 2/3 of the book, 2/3, and then put their own shit in there. It was not the same thing. And all I could think was they waited for her to die.
That's
They,
exactly it. That was my thinking too. They waited for her to die to push all this shit because if she were alive, she would not have signed off on any of that.
no, they made Louis a fucking pimp, a homosexual pimp. And there's nothing wrong with being a homosexual pimp. Absolutely not. If that's the life you want to live, go
But
live
that
it.
wasn't in the source material.
But
There's no sex in the source material. There's no
no, vampires can't fuck. Their dicks don't work anymore. It doesn't, for them, the fucking is the sucking. That's what it is. That's the ecstasy for them, is the drinking of blood. But Louis and Lestat did not have a sexual relationship. Louis was not gay. Louis was not a pimp. Louis was a white plantation owner who was 23 years old, whose wife died in childbirth along with the child. Was depressed and distraught and wanting to die over it. And then Lestat found him when he was trying to kill himself. Louis was meant to be Lestat's moral compass. His entire character was built around the fact that he was supposed to offset this very evil, laissez-faire creature. He was supposed to be the moral compass.
They were the yin and the yang, so to speak.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you take that away, it's like you're saying everything Lestat. No, Lestat was not the good guy. Lestat was not the good guy.
He's literally the devil.
My dad used to. I think Lestat. My dad used to say Lestat. No, dad. Listen, he's like, well, I think he's just misunderstood. Yeah, this brutal, vicious vampire that's French kissing his mother. He's a great dude. He's just misunderstood. No, Dad.
Well, isn't he also, because he's really old in the book, right?
Yes, and that was another thing that really irritates me. Marius did not make Lestat. Marius did not make Lestat. They put that in movies, but that is not true.
Yes. They even ripped the source material apart for that Queen of the Damned movie. Like, it's just, they took the characters and threw it in there. That's about it. But Marius was totally separate. Like, he was a companion of sorts, but he was not Lestat's maker at all. Lestat really had no connection to his maker.
Bonded hard. We have really
does it even say who made Lestat?
No, it's Magnus. Yes, his name is Magnus. He was a very old man when he was made into a vampire, so he had no teeth, just his fang teeth, and he wanted to die. But in 15th century France, he felt like he needed a son, he needed an heir to pass it all down. So we started basically stalking all these tall, very handsome, blonde, blue-eyed men until he found the right one.
No,
not in that way.
No, you can't possibly show that today. Blonde hair, blue-eyed guys. No, they must be.
Well,
no. You can, at least they're not redheads.
he would
can't have that in the movie.
He would kidnap a blonde-haired, blue-eyed man, and he'd put him in like this dungeon, and he would drain him of blood, but then give him wine to drink and nothing else. So he would dehydrate, and he would keep doing that until he figured, oh, well, they're surviving, so they're strong enough. And then he turned Lestat, and then he tells Lestat, okay, now you are my heir. You own all of this. All of this is yours. I'm going to go walk out into the sun, and when you wake up tomorrow night, scatter my ashes so I don't come back. That's how Lestat was made.
And he had no guidance, so that's why he becomes the monster that he ends up being when you get to interview the vampire with Louis.
Oh, it made me so mad. I'm like, my face is hot right now just thinking about it. When I had my foot amputated, it was 1994. I did not have TV in my room beyond Channel 11, which was Warner Brothers, the WB. I mean, I got to watch Batman the Animated Series and Superman, but that was once a day, and then that was it. I had no internet. I had no phone. I had nothing. That was it. So I read everything Anne Rice wrote up until that point. And it gave me an escape. It was my happy place. I actually went to her house in the Garden District in New Orleans to almost like a pilgrimage, and I stole a brick. It's in my yard. I did. And when I saw what happened to Interview the Vampire and Witching Hour, I went out to the brick and I'm like, I'm so sorry, Anne. I'm so sorry. But it was such a big deal for me. It helped me get through that. My fandom, my obsession with her writing and her books, it helped me get through that. And to see how they just absolutely butchered it. It's like they're giving all of us the middle finger, and they're just pissing on her grave. Someone tried to tell me, oh, well, she's one of the executive producers. First of all, she's dead.
Yeah.
She's dead. She has no say in it. And you cannot tell me that this world-class, renowned, award-winning author who was an absolute expert in the literary method and the reasons why her characters were the way they were would have been totally okay with you deconstructing the foundation of her story. There's just no way.
So much wrong with it. So much wrong with it. Yeah. Anne Rice novels are the reason that I was a weird kid. Because I really liked I still really like vampires. So I read everything I could get my hands on that had vampires in it. And I was that weird kid that would just sit outside and read a vampire book.
I sat at lunch in high school. I spent every lunch hour in the library with a bag of chips reading an Anne Rice book. every lunch hour. They would go around asking, like, senior year, they want to know what our favorite thing. They came up to me, "What's your favorite book?" "The Witching Hour" by Anne Rice, and it's still in my yearbook. I have my book right over there. No, it's right over there now. Okay, no, it's by my bedside table because I'm reading it again. I don't know. It goes everywhere with me. It's such a good book. It's really fucked up, and some of it's really hard to get through. You can't get away with writing a book like that anymore. But a lot of fucked up shit.
Why not?
Okay, so let's say
I think books still kind of allow this medium to an extent. It's a matter of who you publish it under now is the bigger thing. I think it's either Random House or Penguin that has gotten really woke with what they decide to publish now.
It's the anything that involves David Talbot of the Talamasca or Julian Mayfair. It's gonna get a little, oh my god, we've made it 2 pages and now there's the homosexual pedophilia. This is
Wait, that's what was in the book?
Yep.
Oh,
but it's not a good thing. But it's
wait. You said homosexual pedophilia.
Yes.
They should be pushing that like at the forefront. They're like, oh, look at this, awesome.
They're all
this
for
is
it now.
Yeah, exactly. This is the way forward.
Unless you're part of the Catholic Church, then they're not for it.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean. They're like, it's required reading in all schools.
You gotta the in the Witching Hour series, it's this spirit lasher that would come to you and love you. And he started on Julian Mayfair when he was like 3 years old. But it's an evil spirit.
I gotta reread the Vampire Chronicles now. That's all this is doing for me right now.
Yeah, the Vampire Chronicles are so good.
You know that there's legends about that. That's like a real thing where people are like, oh, this demon came to me in my sleep and did things.
Yeah, it's a Scottish ancient Scottish tale. But obviously I don't want to see that in the TV show. Like, we can just leave that out.
Allude to it, maybe. But not much.
Something more, like, oh, horrible things happened to him. You could say that. But they took it all the way. They even changed the damn necklace. Like, oh my God. Can't even. They made it so stupid. And what I don't get, and I watched the whole thing. I
gave up after 2 episodes. I saw those previews and I was like, I'll give it a shot. And then I was like,
the first episode wasn't so bad, but then I was like, it's been a while since I read the book, but this doesn't feel right. And I like thumbed through it and I was like, wait a minute, I remember. How dare you? But then I just kept watching because I felt like, all right, Anne, I'm gonna watch all of this and I'm gonna be pissed with you. But it's like the only thing I've ever hate watched. Jack, why can't I say his last name? He's Jack Houston. Jack Houston is a great lasher. He kind of looks like lashers described in the books, but they changed him entirely. His purpose, everything. They changed all of it. Like, you can give him away to another. No, you cannot. You can. I need to get off the subject because it just makes me so
Benefits of Fandom. Benefits of Fandom.
Well, now you have an idea for one of your streams. You can just savage this show
for
like 6 hours.
It is on my list.
Or say what's good about it or whatever.
Nice one.
I gotta reread the entire series now.
Look at the passion that this book and this series has and kind of brought out of both of you. I mean, I think I saw an interview with the Vampire back when it came out in the 90s or whatever and was like, eh.
And I was pissed about that one.
Yeah. And that was,
who she initially envisioned as Lestat, like when she was writing the book, who she envisioned? Rutger Hauer. That's Lestat.
When did she write the book?
76.
Really? God, was he even in anything back then?
Yeah.
The first time I heard of him was after
Lady
Blade
Hawk?
Runner. Oh. Blade Runner and He was good in Lady Hawk. That was that's an awesome movie, which nobody knows about.
I've never heard of it.
Oh my God,
oh my God.
now you have
gotta
to
watch it. Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
watch that movie.
Just
It's good.
always rely on the old nerds
Yeah.
to
Lady
tell you
Hawk.
what's
It's
up.
definitely
It has some good
it's up
shit.
there.
But yeah,
That's the movie that I'll watch over and over again if I see it like on TV or something.
Lestat is supposed to be like 6'4" and broad shoulders and just,
Like Reacher from the Reacher
yeah,
TV show.
he's supposed to be this beautiful, tall,
like an Adonis. There we go.
Adonis.
There we go.
and
Basically.
and I'm getting old and I'm starting to forget names and it's really bothering me. Armand was supposed to look like a Botticelli angel, like one of the paintings Botticelli did of angels.
Mhm.
It is not Antonio Banderas. He does not
Didn't
look
even
like
look close to that. Yeah.
he doesn't look like a 17-year-old Italian Botticelli angel.
Mhm.
And fucking Tom Cruise is nowhere near 6'4", broad-shouldered. No, none of it. And she was very upset about it. Now, she did say she felt like Stuart Townsend did embody the feline nature of
Mhm.
Lestat, but she hated Queen of the Damned. And I remember, like, when she had her website back then, and it looked like one of those GeoCities things where you scroll and you read the
Mhm.
and she had put on there that she was just waiting to get her rights back so she
Yeah.
could do it her way. Like, she was really upset about it. But that was one of the great things about the fandom, was that we all pulled together and kept in contact on those message boards and stuff. And she started doing the vampire ball. And I've always wanted to go. She has one now it's her estate, but there is an Anne Rice's vampire ball every year in New Orleans. And I have an idea. I think we should go, Vex. We should, because you do cosplay, you get way into it.
Yeah, Florida's not that far from New
That's
Orleans.
my husband's been wanting to take me to Louisiana so we can go to New Orleans so we can do the ghost tours and all that stuff because we're both really into that.
Love it. I want you to go through the Garden District.
Mhm.
Don't look up the address for the house on First Street. Just go down First Street in the Garden District and you are going to spot that house immediately. The way she writes, you're going to spot it like right away. I did.
All right.
You know how you'll recognize it? From playing RDR2 in Saint Denis. It's basically that city is basically New Orleans.
Oh, well, I know that's what it was based upon.
Right.
Remember?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's a place in the French Quarter. I can't remember the name of it, but there's a place in the quarter that has Claudia's coffin from the movie. And the Oak Valley Plantation is where they filmed parts of Interview the Vampire, where Brad Pitt, Louis ate the poodle.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, the oak trees. I stole bark from that tree and I sat on it and was like, but yeah, you'll spot everything. But the house on First Street, definitely make your pilgrimage to that. There is a plaque on the wrought iron, fence. But I mean, I was like a Garfield suction cat. Like, that's it. That's it. She couldn't stop the car fast enough. I was freaking out, but you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. I'm like, that's where Deirdre drools. That's it right there. That porch. It's great. We should probably talk some nerdy news. Yes. I'm just gonna have to set up a whole Anne Rice stream for Vex and I, and the rest of you can just
pretty
watch
much.
us.
Yeah. I actually,
right,
you know what? I know that the Interview with the Vampire movie wasn't accurate, but I don't, as a movie on its own, I thought it was quite good.
Yeah, I liked it on its own. How can you not love Kirsten Dunst? I want some more.
I thought she was perfect for Claudia to be. I had no problem with that one. No problem with that casting.
I know Claudia was supposed to be like 5-6 years old, but Kirsten Dunst, it was at 94 when that came out. Yeah. She looked like how I pictured Claudia in my head. The ringlets, the blonde hair, blue eyes.
Just like the little doll and everything. I thought she was, and she did it. She knocked it out of the park as well. But yeah, all those. Yeah, some other stuff though. I don't get why Antonio Banderas was cast in that at all. It was probably just like maybe either a studio commitment or he was hot at the time, right? Tom Cruise was hot at the time, so it makes sense why he was cast. But
yeah, when did but Zorro didn't come out for a few more years after that, right?
Well, he had done. I think Dusk Till Dawn had already come out, and One Time in Mexico. He was married.
He had a lot of hits in the early 90s, and I think 96 or 97 was Zorro.
Yeah.
I know he did 13th Warrior. That's
such a good movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Everyone's like, oh, that movie's not that good. I'm like, what are you guys, high? That movie's awesome.
I'll tell you what, another benefit of fandom was my ex-mother-in-law, who we didn't get along for many, like we just started getting along. Me and her son had been divorced since 2010. But she hated me for a long time. She's like, I feel like I backed the wrong horse. But the one thing that she and I did really get along with was fandom. She loved the 13th Warrior. That was her favorite movie. She loved Stargate SG-1. She loved Briscoe County Jr., like Bruce Campbell. She loved anything with Bruce Campbell in it. And that was something she loved Buffy the Vampire Slayer too. So weird. So weird. Just this hardcore conservative Christian woman. But she loved Stargate SG-1, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and 13th Warrior. She really did.
At least there was something you guys could discuss then. It wasn't just glaring daggers the whole time.
Now we discuss how my ex-husband is a moron. That's fun for me. All right, guys. Nerdy news. There we go. And I was trying to clean my glasses. I didn't do a very good job. Still didn't, but it's fine. I'll make it work. All right. So buckle up because we got a lot, and I'm still not going to stop touching my hair. First up on the Dagobah Dispatch podcast, which, y'all, that is a badass name for a podcast. Dagobah Dispatch. I love it. Freaking love it. Anyway, Filoni and Favreau said on this podcast that Ahmed Best could be coming back for more. And I think that's kind of cool.
Is this Star Wars related news?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not a Star Wars fan, so I don't know who, I know who Filoni and Favreau are, but I don't know who Ahmed Best is.
Oh, wait. Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm not a...
Yeah, I did.
To be fair, I gave Star Wars a fair shot before I was like, this just isn't for me. It's not that I hate it, it's just not for me.
No, that's cool. I respect that. Sorry, no, I turned 40 and I forgot how to swallow my own spit.
You've watched the originals, right?
Yeah, I watched the original trilogy, yeah. It's just not for me, that's all.
Like the one from the 70s, right? You're not talking about the one from the
I'm talking about those ones. I'm talking about the original trilogy, yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, it kind of goes like, I have a whiteboard that I write everything on throughout the week. It goes Star Wars, MCU, DC, and other. Okay. So, first off, on this podcast, Favreau and Filoni were talking about Ahmed Best showing up on Mandalorian, and they said, we've been talking about doing more because it did really well. I'm like, yeah, it was one of the only great scenes in the whole season. And I got a little choked up for Ahmed because that man almost killed himself over the hate he got for Jar Jar Binks. Like, he was in a really dark place after that came out. And I felt really bad for him. And when he got to come back as this badass Jedi and be the one to save Grogu, I was like, I'm good for him. Like, I was just happy for him as a person. Good for him. So they're talking about there's a possibility they can bring him back. Also, Jaleel White, that's right, Urkel, has been cast in Skeleton Crew. I got nothing against Urkel.
Urkel?
Yeah, Urkel.
Well,
Urkel.
He doesn't, obviously he's not, the actor is not Urkel.
No, he's
in
not.
Real life. He's
kind of gone super hard the other direction.
Okay.
Yeah, because he had to escape that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, but he's going to be in Skeleton Crew. I have not heard good things from my sources about Skeleton Crew. When I was out in Burbank, I did talk with people that work on set. My friend that I went to see no longer does. He does not. But I did meet people while we were out at supply houses and stuff who do, and them thinking that I was somebody said that they do not have high hopes. They don't think Skeleton Crew is going to be any good. So when I saw that Khalil White was cast, I'm like,
what has he been cast? Who has he been cast as?
I have no idea yet. No idea.
And when is this supposed to be out?
Who knows with the writer's strike, though?
Yeah, who knows?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Okay.
We'll get back. We'll talk about more about what's on hold in a minute. But yeah, I feel like they're going to do something stupid with this casting. I really do. And that's the kind of water jug I need, because I'm constantly dehydrated.
My body feels dehydrated, but then I drink 2 of these a day, and sometimes I still feel dehydrated.
So many fluids. I used to drink so much that Dave's like, I don't see how you don't pee the bed at night. You drink so much fluid, and you have such a tiny bladder that doesn't work correctly.
Have you been? Yeah, that's quite a bit, but I don't know. That might be normal if you always drink that much.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've always drank a lot of water.
Yeah, so that's normal.
That's why your skin is so amazing.
Yeah,
I think that's just the brown magic for the skin, in all honesty.
Oh, that's gonna be my new thing. It's all brown magic.
Yeah, brown don't frown. I mean, you kiss the black don't frown. Brown don't frown.
Yeah,
I'm no good at that stuff. I can't come up with fun things to say.
You're good. I use, like, to be fair, I also, not on top of water, I use like about a dozen different skincare products. So I have a very thorough skincare regime.
Here's some of it.
There you go. She does. Okay, there we go. I've got a bin in my bathroom full of my
stuff in the bathroom too. You have one of these?
Yeah, I've got the metal ball ones. I do that one, the cold roll.
I've got the micro needle.
Yep.
But this one was $5, and I swear by it. It totally works. All right.
I just use the same shampoo as soap.
Because you're a dude. That's what.
Heresy. She's all heresy.
Oh, it's also 2-in-1.
My daughter.
So yeah.
This over here. I got a bunch. But my daughter and my lip serums. My daughter makes fun of me for my long, drawn-out 8-step, 45-minute process in the morning. Just to, like, you need to watch me, first of all, and learn how to do this, because my mother did not teach me, and now I'm just, anyway, skincare is important. Skincare is important. So important. Next, Filoni has been quoted to say that Thrawn is the new big bad. He's the new big bad for Star Wars, and he is basing the story off of Timothy Zahn's novels Heir to the Empire. So, yay, that's good news. And I've said this for years. I should have had a YouTube channel for the last 6 years, because I've been saying for so long that Filoni is saying fuck you to Disney. I'm going to bring in. You can say all these books and everything are just legend now and they're not canon, but watch this. I'm going to start bringing them in. And that's what he's been doing, because he knows those are the good stories. We're not out of stories to tell. We have plenty in these legends.
Right. What's the word I'm looking for how they handle this entire thing? Oh, bungled. Another one would be fiasco. Like, they already had it all laid out. All they had to do was just do it. And God, how
I've been looking for hand lotion around here somewhere, but it's all face stuff. We do have
apparently Copa knows where all his lotion's at.
Mario Badescu That's the line. I'll send you some links.
Okay.
Awesome. Anyway, Copa is pleased. All right. So, but I am excited that he is going full throttle with Thrawn based on the Timothy Zahn books. That's going to be really awesome. And now we're hearing, so last week I told you guys that Kathleen Kennedy said that Luke Skywalker is a mothballed museum piece. And if that's why he insisted on the Luke episodes in Book of Boba Fett, because he said if Grogu is with Luke, you're not going to see Grogu. So you need to bring him back if you want him, because nobody wants to see Luke anymore. He's a museum piece. This is how out of touch this bitch is. She's so stupid.
Isn't Luke one of the most beloved characters in the fandom?
He is the most beloved. He is Star Wars.
He has a serious problem though.
Of kissing his sister?
No, he's white and a male.
So they can just race swap him, right?
Yeah.
That's what they're doing these days.
They know better than to do that.
Okay.
He's a moist
towelette.
That's nice to know.
In what way are you a moist towelette guy? That's what I want to know.
Well, because I put in there that he got a nice lotion recommendation, skincare thing, and I was like, now you just need a good tissue recommendation, and he's like, I'm more of a wet towelette kind of guy.
You didn't want to say moist. It's fine. A lot of people don't like that word. My boyfriend's sister will scream at the top of her lungs if somebody says it.
Moist is a nice word. It's not a bad word. Yeah.
That's kind of, I know.
That's weird. That's kind of weird. Cheese sounds like a Karen, in all honesty.
Yeah, moist is kind of like a borderline brown magic word.
Yeah.
I love you guys. Okay, so there are now conflicting reports. I think what's happening now is Lucasfilm's trying to clean up again Kathleen Kennedy's mouth vomit. So they're backpedaling. You're hearing different stories. So Hasbro leaks have this meeting in Hasbro about Star Wars toys. They've said, no, that's true. He's cameo only, 1 second, and he's out. No more Luke. But then WDW Pro says to expect Luke, Leia, and Han cameos in the Filoni film that he's working on. But then you have more sources that say it's all made up. There's no original trilogy cameos. They're done with them entirely. So who knows? Like I said, I think it's more of Lucasfilm figuring out that, they're not happy about this. She shouldn't have said that. And so they're trying to fix things. Another thing they're trying to fix is Tony Gilroy, the showrunner, executive producer for Andor, has ceased all work on Andor because he was crossing the picket line. He didn't want to cross the picket line, but Disney was kind of making him. So he was like, fuck it, I'm out. You do what you want, but I'm not doing any work on this until the writer's strike is over. But there are reports coming out that Mouse has been forcing people, threatening them to cross the line. This work done.
I was going to say, how are they threatening them with because they're breaking contracts or something? Or?
Dude, Disney is brutal. You got no idea. We think canceled means people just don't like you anymore. No. Canceled means you get shadow banned on social media. It is a real thing that happens. They will pick up the phone and be like, do this. They suck. Shadow this guy. Not only that, but they will have spies call you or go by your house and ask you for materials hey, do you have pictures of that water bottle we built for this Marvel? And if you say, yeah, I got to go get that for you, Disney's going to come after you because you're not supposed to have that stuff. You're supposed to turn in your hard drive, everything, when you're done with that. So, they'll let people show up at your house. You will be followed. You will get followed. Black car type situation. I'm telling you, they're not. They call them Mauschwitz for a reason. Who work for them call them Mauschwitz. Mauschwitz. That's it, Mauschwitz. It's like Auschwitz. So, on the mouse, the Nazi. Yeah, it's
that
really,
would be a funny parody if they were to ever make a movie out of that. A Disney version of Auschwitz.
Yeah.
Oh. My mind goes places.
we should probably make something. Who's an animator? But they're brutal. Like Dave Bautista was asking to get killed off in his tracks for years because this is how they get them. So they screw them with the contracts. In the contract, they'll say, "You're this character for 3 movies." Okay, well, Dave Bautista did Guardians 1, Guardians 2, Infinity War, Endgame. He's like, "Okay, I'm out. That's 4." I'm like, "No, that was 2." He's like, "No, that was 4." No, that was 2. Those other ones were just cameos. They were just
so even because they did like I think 2 or 3 Guardians like specials movies too.
One holiday special that came out last
Okay.
week. But after he did Infinity War and stuff, he's like, "I'm out. I don't want to do it anymore." I'm like, "No, that was a cameo." He was in 70% of the film. They still considered it a cameo. Problem was, those were Avengers movies, not Guardians movies. He owed them 3 Guardians movies. And the holiday special was just a special. It wasn't a movie. So he had to complete his contract by doing 3 full Guardians movies. So now that he's done Volume 3, he is finally officially done.
Gotcha.
He does not like working for Disney. Dave Bautista is a very down-to-earth, normal, grounded person, like a very nice person. Mm-hmm. And I mean, every one of the Guardians were pretty much done with Disney after they fired James Gunn in 2016.
Yeah.
They all penned that letter and signed it, said, "We're not coming back unless you hire him back because he is Guardians of the Galaxy." So all of them are going to go over to DC. I guarantee it. I absolutely guarantee it. But yeah, they're not kind to people there. It's really awful. So they've known since last year, I say November, December, that this writer strike was a possibility. They've known. They were stockpiling scripts. They were trying to throw things in production as fast as they could because if the script is done and it's in production, they can continue. If the script is not done and it's not in production, it can't continue. So they were trying to get ahead of this thing. So instead of just giving these people the extra 1% that they're asking for, they force people to cross picket lines and make their lives miserable. So Tony Gilroy finally said, "No, I'm over it." Yeah. So next, in the Legends books, for the Star Wars people, I think this is the last of the Star Wars news, but in the Legends books, Luke had a wife named Mara Jade. And she's a very interesting character. It's one of the most popular storylines. She used to be an Inquisitor. She was Darkseid. She was an assassin for the Emperor. She was like his top assassin. And she ends up falling in love with Luke. But Disney's like, "Well, that's Legends now. It's not canon." So now there's rumors going around saying that romance could either be replaced by either a Luke Ahsoka romance, which you explained that little Luke they gave each other in Book of Boba Fett, or they'll make it a Ezra Sabine thing, like Ezra and Sabine from Rebels that are coming to the Ahsoka show. One or the other. I think it's probably going to be Ezra Sabine because of the.
That's way less creepy. Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, it is. It's like banging your dad's friend or something. Like.
Yeah.
That's weird. It's just weird. She's like his aunt. But moving on to MCU stuff, we all know that, well, we've heard for some time that the Hood is going to become the main villain in Ironheart, but we've got it confirmed, and that means Mephisto is going to be in Ironheart because the Hood, Parker Robbins, made a deal to save his mom's life with Mephisto and thus became the Hood. So we're going to start getting all this Mephisto stuff that we thought was going to show up in WandaVision 2-3 years ago. So Eric Voss, that poor guy, he's going to be redeemed. God love him. We also have a release date for Blade that's going to be tentative right now. September 6th.
This movie's not coming out. No.
I thought it was totally on hold. They hired a new writer, and now because of the writer's strike, it's like
that's like 18 months away. Last we heard, like what, 2-3 months ago, they were rewriting the script.
Yeah, because Mahershala Ali saw it, and he was like, and he's a big Blade comic fan.
Yeah.
He was like, what the fuck is this happy horse shit?
Yeah, and not only that, but they had to find a new director as well. This is not coming out next year at all. No.
But they're saying, as of now, it's supposed to come out the day before my birthday. See what I did there?
No offense, but it's going to be hot garbage if they're pushing it out that quickly.
Exactly. I agree with you. It's too rushed. Also heard Senior Scratchy, for those who were fans of WandaVision, Senior Scratchy is going to return in Agatha Covenant Chaos. And I'm saying it now. I said it then, but I didn't have a YouTube channel. That Senior Scratchy is going to end up being her son, Nicholas Scratch, who was a big part of her story in the comics. So I think he's going to make his appearance. And I hope so, because it show is. How'd you know? You must be psychic. Love you. Just Eric Moss. No, my mini wrench girl, my sister, my love. We have been saying Mephisto for years. I love you. Anywho, Senior Scratchy's coming, and the Salem 7, his kids, and Nicholas were a very, very big part of Fantastic Four, Scarlet Witch, all of it. So I feel like that's what's going to happen, because we all thought that's what was going to happen in the show. So, and it didn't. Ali On has been cast as the Wu, Alice Gulliver, in Agatha Covenant Chaos. Her father was the magical guardian of Hong Kong, like the Hong Kong Sanctum. So she's going to be a part of Agatha Covenant Chaos too. And Kevin Feige is finally done with all this shit, and he has stopped delegating responsibilities, and he's gone back to how it was before, where he was absolutely hands-on, in control of every single thing that the MCU put out. Because when he delegated shit the last couple of years, what happened?
Well, you mean he's not a robot anymore?
No.
Like in She-Hulk?
He's no longer a robot. He especially with the Victoria Alonso debacle, she was, after the James Gunn firing. See, James Gunn was like his number 2. He was consulting on scripts and everything, because James Gunn's a comic book super nerd. Like, Feige would send him scripts and ask for his opinion, and okay, moving on. Like, there was talk for a while that if Kevin Feige moved up, so would James Gunn into Feige's position. But they treated him like shit and fired him, and so he's now the competition. But after all this shit that's gone on the last few years, the movies and shows not being good, not being good enough, not making money, focusing more on agenda rather than story, Feige's like, well, clearly I can not delegate shit. It's kind of like when I tell my kids, hey, I got to go do this thing. I got to go see the doctor because of my knee. Can you do me a favor and like clean up, like do the floors or the dishes, the stuff I can't do right now because, I can't fucking stand. So can you do the dishes for me? And they're like, okay. And they do like maybe half the sink and leave the big pots and pans and then don't wash off the counters. That's kind of what happened with Kevin Feige and Victoria Alonso. Like Victoria Alonso became his number 2 after James Gunn left. And that bitch was going to every VFX house playing Kingmaker saying, well, if you're nice to me, then I'll get you more work. But then giving them unreasonable time frames. Like, I need all this done in a day. Listen, if you've done any editing at all, and you realize like after 6 hours, oh my God, it's been 6 hours and I've only edited like 15 minutes of this. How is that possible? You think animation and VFX is going to be any easier than that? It's going to move any faster? No, it's not. But this woman is saddling VFX houses for very minimal pay and expecting them to pull off miracles in a matter of hours or days. And when they don't, she's extremely vicious and toxic and mean and hateful and all these horrible
A woman then, basically.
Well, let's say it this way, a very petty ass woman. And she actually said that the X-Men was sexist and that they should change it to X people. And I think
Kevin, she knows there's women in the X-Men, right?
I don't think she realizes that
the name doesn't really matter. Like
that the X-Men was like the first woke anything. Really, it was the most inclusive bullshit that's ever come out.
I think a lot of these people, they don't make these statements in a vacuum. Like, they just don't come out on Twitter. Sometimes they do, and they're like, "Oh, I think this needs to be this or whatever." But usually, it's in an interview, and some kind of media personality asks them a question, a leading one. Well, what do you think about this? You think it's kind of sexist, isn't it? Isn't it? And they're thinking, oh shit, if I say anything other than, but you know what I mean? They're like, if I say anything other than what this person is asking me, now I'm going to look not good and I need the clout, or, you know, they're looking to
listen to what this chick, she actually said that. And then she said she got fired because she's a lesbian. That Marvel and Disney fired her because she's gay. No.
But what I'm getting at is because they're trying to push this agenda, the media outlets are they go out and they ask these leading questions, and then let's say you're just a regular actor that doesn't really give a shit. So you're like, oh, okay, I'm supposed to say this because it's part of the narrative and I don't want to get canceled or whatever. And then then they have that shield. Well, you really can't fire me because I'm gay. And if you do, I'll just say it was because of that.
Yeah.
Not because I sucked at my job.
There's several reasons why she got fired. The main big time reason was how she was mistreating all the VFX houses. The reason why Quantumania was so lame, why it didn't hit hard, is because of Victoria Alonso. There were over 25 VFX houses that worked on Quantumania, and more than 11 action scenes, like big meaty action scenes, got cut because all of them pulled out because of her. She was so horrible to them, and they weren't paying them to put up with all the bullshit she was giving them, that they pulled out and they couldn't finish those scenes. So there you go.
They had to have solid grounds.
But the legal reason, the legal reason they were going to use was that she was under contract with Disney and Marvel, and she stepped outside of that contract and produced another movie called Argentina 1985.
That's what I heard about. Yeah,
she was not supposed to do that, and now she's saying, "Well, they told me I could do that. They're doing this because I'm gay." That's not.
Nah, true. That's just a cover story.
That's her cop out.
If they didn't have a solid like footing, they wouldn't have done it.
Exactly.
They can't afford to because of the backlash. But
yeah.
But everybody, it's like an open secret. It's like the emperor has no clothes, that she sucks at her job.
Yeah.
And no matter what she says. So because you hear about it, but I don't see a lot of articles like, oh, it's a bunch of crap that they fired her and that they, they're taking advantage of a minority or any of this kind of stuff. And most people are like, glad to see you go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
she actually told Kevin Feige, and it really upset him, that she felt like X-Men was sexist and it needed to be changed to X people. And he had to sit and explain to this woman that the whole purpose for X-Men was the whole underpinning for it. It was an allegory for 1960s racism in America. That's what it was about. The mutants were allegory for brown people, black people, disabled people, for people that were different and were treated differently.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the whole purpose for X-Men was. And they were good stories. They had good character development. Victoria Alonso's just throwing shit out to throw shit out. Like, just throw it, see what sticks to the wall. There you go. There's a movie. That's what she was doing, and just treating people like shit in the process. And actually, it really shows her ignorance to the industry that she's working in to say that X-Men is sexist.
Yeah,
Yes,
I know.
that's what
Especially when she just couldn't see that X-Thems was a much better name than X people. At least get with the narrative, lady.
Give him his paycheck, Marvel. There you go. Signed over. All right. So in DC news, James Gunn confirms Crypto is going to appear in Superman Legacy. Who doesn't love cute dogs?
Oh, I thought you meant like cryptocurrency.
No, it's spelled with
wrong sound.
Yeah, wrong letter. But yeah, Crypto's going to show up, and so Tiny will be auditioning.
Okay, that's good. Because I was going to say, if they're putting Crypto in there, I want to see some monkey NFTs for sure in the background. God, that was so dumb. I saw that and was like, people are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for this? It's like, what is wrong with them?
I had to have someone explain to me. See, I don't pay attention to that shit. The only thing I pay attention to in this world anymore is nerdy stuff. Nothing else. Because it just annoys me. Like, you know what? I know it sucks. I don't need to be inundated with idiocy. I'm going to live in my own little world right here while Dave stocks up the basement.
The blockchain technology has a lot of practical uses, but that nonsense is not.
It was a stupid use.
It was a pyramid scheme and a scam. Anybody that bought into it, well, if they got into it on the ground floor, they were a genius because they made lots of money off of it. But if you went and bought that stuff about 2 weeks after it hit the internet, it's already too late. If you get into something like that before it hits big time, you're fine. But once it does, and they're trying to sell it to everybody, you're already way too late, and you're on the losing end. So, but anyway, Crypto being the dog, is he gonna have a kid?
Yeah, I think so. Hold on, I just saw the Catanias say we're birthday twins, Copa. We're birthday twins, and we're both authors. Hot dog. That's
and
awesome.
Apparently Squeak a Mouse.
I got all his hair though. I got all his hair. I got all the hair. Sorry, Copa. There were only one of us on that day could have flowing
I was gonna make a joke, but I'm not gonna make it.
Yeah, no. Okay. And Superman Legacy is set to start filming January 2024, barring the writer's strike has been satisfied. I think it might. 2007, 2008 was pretty bad. Hello, Heroes. That just listen, one of the most traumatic things that I've lived through in my life was the writer's strike of 2007. I have been saying this since 2007. It was very traumatizing for me. I was going through a divorce, and y'all took my motherfucking TV away. I was not happy. Not happy. There's also a lot of rumors swirling around Nicholas Hoult and David Cornsweet. Am I saying his name right? Cornsweet? Cornsweet?
Yeah.
Cone. It's Cone. Okay. So anyway, Nick and Dave are both rumored to be up for Clark Kent and Lex Luthor. And depending on which source you're reading, like Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, Variety, they're all saying different things. Some are saying that Nicholas Hoult and David Cornsweet. Get it?
Yeah, maybe that W silent or something. It's like Cornset or something.
Some are saying that they're both up for Clark Kent, Superman, And others are saying that Nicholas Hoult is in the running for Lex Luthor, and David Sweaty Corn is
That's a much better
Have you seen
name.
a picture of this kid, by the way?
Yeah, he looks like Superman.
The David.
He looks like a young Henry Cavill.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
he does.
Listen,
Which is, it's insulting almost.
Liz, James Gunn has a gift for casting. He really does. He's good at his job. So I really do trust him in this area, and I think Nicholas Hoult would be a banging Lex Luthor. I really way better than Jesse Eisenberg.
I can see that actually. I think that's a genuinely a decent casting. Right
I
there.
heard from my friend who did his makeup for Renfield, said that he thought he was going to be the new Bond. And I was like,
I saw that rumor as well floating around Twitter. Too young.
Dave loves Bond. Like, it's his one fandom. Is James Bond. The one fandom he will allow himself to have is James Bond. And he was like, Henry Cavill.
Yeah, Bond has got to have some hair on his chest. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Henry Cavill, perfect role. Perfect role.
Yes, yes, yeah. He could totally do it. There's a bunch of other actors out there.
No, but he's perfect. He is perfect for it.
I
don't care
like
about the other actors.
Oh, Truth. Poor Truth. Made him question his sexuality.
But okay, so bear with me here. Is it with the stash that he had in Mission Impossible? James Bond mustache.
He can any clean shaven, beard, stash, any of it. It all works.
Here's the thing.
And his audition tape.
He's an attractive man, but he looks so much like my brother. Like my brother. Yeah.
Yeah, I did the same thing that Vex did. I did the backup and was like, wait, hold up.
Yeah.
What?
This Vex getting ready to cast a Brown Magic spell.
But my brother Brett reminds me of Henry Cavill so much, but he's so dumb. Just please, he's really stupid. I love him. He's my little brother, but he is a tryhard. So
But if all they have to do for Henry Cavill, they'd be like, well, can you give us like an audition for Bond? And all they got to do is show that bathroom fight scene for Mission Impossible. Like, here you go,
bro. All he's got to do is raise an eyebrow. Have you seen him? Man from U.N.C.L.E.? There's his audition. He was great in Man from U.N.C.L.E.
I still need to watch that movie.
It's so good. It really is. It's hard to watch it now, knowing Armie Hammer is a psycho, but
aren't they all? We still watch Tom Cruise, even though he's a psycho. So
I know, but after I found out about Armie Hammer, I said, well, of course he's a freaking psychopath that abuses women. I find him very attractive. It's very on brand for me.
Yeah, the whole 50 Shades of Grey thing. Thanks, 50 Shades of Grey.
No, not that kind of thing. Like, oh, damn it. Oh, he's a horrible fucking human. And I had sex with him. There's something wrong with me. Like, of course he's going to be a psychopath. I'm attracted to him. That kind of thing. Not like, hey. Not that kind. And now we know entirely too much about me. Okay. So.
Wait a second. Are you saying that? Never mind.
No, I've been in.
I was going to say, are you saying that you hooked up with Armie Hammer?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought that's what I was like. A little confused.
Is he why your leg is gone?
That's messed up on so many levels. So many levels.
All I'm picturing is my leg on a spit.
Yeah.
Eating.
How?
He's salt baying.
I have so many more questions that I really don't want to ask.
No, I'm saying I've made questionable decisions regarding who I'm going to partner with in the past. And
okay, got it. Yeah.
Got it. There you go. I have bad taste in men. I've had bad taste in men in the past. And so I was like, well, of course Armie Hammer's a psychopath, because I would have totally boned him.
Oh, right. I see what you're saying. So yeah.
There we go. Now you're there. Now we're cooking with gas.
Got it.
Like,
I'm not that smart.
Neither am I. I just wear the glasses to make myself look smart. Okay, so amid all these rumors, people are constantly, and James Gunn is very active on Twitter, and people are constantly asking him, like, is this true? Is that true? All he will say is, I will not speak about what actors have auditioned for what. That is their business if they want to say anything. All I will say is that only one role has been cast in Superman Legacy, and it is not a regular character. So it's not Lois, Supes, Lex.
So it's like the lunch lady or something?
Maybe. Maybe. I don't know what a regular character is to him other than...
Right. That's what I'm getting is like a side character.
I'm from the Midwest. Is he speaking a Midwest language? No, he's not. He's speaking James Gunn's language, and I don't know what that is. So they said it's not a regular character.
I wish he would get off Twitter. He doesn't need to be divulging. Let us wait. We can wait in suspense, in all honesty.
He does a little bit much.
I'm sick of James Gunn on Twitter. I'm sick of all these other actors. Like Zachary Levi was the other one that came out to Twitter a couple months ago to defend Shazam. It's like, bro, just admit that you made a shitty movie and move on with it instead of trying to defend it.
Yeah, I think it's kind of I think it's kind of our age group in a way, because when I first got on social media, I definitely overshared. I did not know how to use it responsibly. I just used it as my personal bitch post, like, oh, fuck, the toilet paper's on backwards, or, a bunch of crap that nobody cares about and I do not need to be sharing about. But I did it anyway because it was new to me and I had no idea how to use it. But then you have all these kids that have pretty much grown up with the internet their entire lives and have had this kind of stuff, and they're way better at it than I am. So I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we still don't know how to use social media. We think everyone's our friend. So
yeah, but we got the leg up because we know how to use a VCR.
They're like, he didn't hear me. Okay, so Samara Weaving, there's rumor that she is accepting the role of Lois Lane. Samara Weaving, she was in, I keep thinking the last Bill and Ted movie. She was Bill's daughter.
She's what's his name's daughter, right? The guy that plays Agent Smith and all that.
Hugo.
Yeah,
she doesn't look like a Lois Lane. She looks a little too evil looking to be a Lois Lane.
I think. Well, she's a really good actress.
She is. Yeah.
She can play anything. Like she did. I didn't think she was going to do well in Bill and Ted's, but she was actually pretty funny. So, I'm the type that I was wrong about Tobey Maguire being Spider-Man. He was a great Spider-Man. But when it got announced in 2001 that he was playing Tobey Maguire, I was like, the what? Why? And he turned out to be great. So I have to see it before I can make my final decision on it. But I've been wrong before. Who knows?
Are they getting? I thought so. They're going to put her on like dye her hair or something, right?
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
I would say so. Smart girls can't be blonde.
I'm surprised they're not race swapping Lois Lane.
Well, it's James Gunn. I doubt he would do that. I really do. He's very purist with the comics. Just from what the past.
Gotcha. Okay.
Not.
I guess the studios have trust in him as well, right? So he probably, just like with Guardians, he has a lot more creative control than most, probably.
Yeah, and he is the creative head for DC Studios.
Gotcha.
So he's in charge.
Yes. Samara Weaving, she's a good actress, but I don't see her as a Lois Lane. She doesn't look innocent enough to be a Lois Lane.
Look, well, I wouldn't say Lois Lane's very innocent. Lois Lane.
She has a very soft, feminine look to her, and I don't like Samara Weaving doesn't have that. She looks too much like her dad. Sharp eyebrows at all.
Yeah, she's gonna walk in and be like, "Mr. Anderson." Yeah.
Okay, and this one's gonna get a lot of fluffed. There's rumors that Bradley Cooper could be the next Batman. Now, I did see My Time to Shine Hello said that he was offered Lex Luthor and he didn't take it. He said, no, I think he'd be a good Lex Luthor. I think he could pull off Bruce Wayne. He's handsome, he can do the charm, all that stuff. And, I had my doubts, like I said, I had my doubts before, like Christian Bale, and then he pulled it off. Who knows? See it to believe it type of thing. But I know. Oh, have a good time. Bye. Happy Mother's Day, Jana. Who was it that Ego said, but he's still in the MCU? Ego was saying that he had a pick for Batman, and I thought it was really good, but he's in the MCU, and I can't.
He's still in the MCU.
Yeah, I can't think of who it was, but it was a good pick. It's gonna drive me crazy.
The next Batman. It's not Paul Rudd. It's not Chris Pratt.
No.
What movie was he in? How about that? Can you recall that?
No.
Okay.
I need people to just throw it out there, but he's buffer, bigger, a little gruffer.
Buffer, bigger, dirt hair.
I don't want to have to dig through my stupid Twitter because I post way too much to find this. But
is he American, Australian, British?
I don't remember.
You don't know?
Don't remember.
Was he?
It's a white guy.
Probably.
Yeah. Is it okay? Well, I don't know. Maybe he was talking about Idris Elba or somebody, but I don't think. Well, he is in the MCU. He was Heimdall.
Yeah.
But not Tom Hiddleston.
No. Oh, damn it! I'm gonna have to.
Oh, you mean the guy that plays Loki?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not him.
If it were in a movie or TV show, that would help. If it was like Marvel show or Marvel movie.
I think it's a movie. I told you I'm getting old. I'm starting to forget things.
Robert Downey Jr.
He's left Lee Pace would be a good one actually.
Oh yeah, he would.
I don't think he's in the MCU though anymore because his character was a one and done.
Yeah, he's dead.
Yeah.
Wait, what character did Lee Pace play?
He was the villain in the first Guardians movie.
Yeah, he's Ronan. Ronan the Accuser.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, yeah, he had so much makeup on, I
can't tell it's him. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he's really good at it. But Ego had a really good pick, and I was like, oh yeah, that'd be good. But he's sticking with the MCU. I think Bradley Cooper could pull it off. He's got.
No, I don't want to see Bradley Cooper as Brad Pitt. He's a no for me. Poor choice.
I knew you were going to say that.
He's a good actor. I don't have any doubts of his acting capabilities. I don't see him as Batman. That's all it is. He looks too wimpy to be Batman. And when I picture Batman, I picture someone that looks like he doesn't have a baby's jaw, essentially.
Huh. I wonder what he would look if he got really jacked, though.
Well, now he's
Australian,
of course he tells me. I text Ego and I'm like, who was your Batman pick again? And he says Scott Adkins. He played Killa in John Wick 4. I'm like, not that one. The MCU guy. Josh Brolin. That was it. He had the
Josh Brolin as Batman?
No.
I don't know.
I can see that. But he's Cable and he's in Deadpool 3. So he's not.
Yeah, I don't see him. I want a fresh face as Batman. I think he's been played out enough by big names. I don't think there's any star power that can really match him anymore. Like I didn't like Batfleck either. I don't count the Christian Bale iteration because I don't consider those comic book movies.
I thought, to me, this is just me. I thought Batfleck looked the most Batman to me.
Yeah.
with the
Looks very French
jawline and
colored.
everything.
He
Right.
looks traditionally, yeah, like Batman animated series. If there were a real version of that, it would be Ben
Right.
Affleck, right?
Yeah.
But he didn't fit the role. I don't know, his acting. I just didn't like. He looked the part, but he couldn't fill the part. So I don't think there's any A-list actor that could fill the part of Batman. Let's bring in a
Problem
new
solved.
face.
I'm with you
Debo's
on that for
Batman.
all of
Problem
these.
solved.
For all
We've
these
got
reboots and everything, you get a no name and you bring them in and you give them their chance. Like Christopher Reeves got with Superman.
Yeah.
I've solved all our problems. Debbie just said she's Batman, so
there we go. Female Batman. Done.
There you go.
It's solved.
Solved. Solution.
Yep, with all kinds of high quality food cakes and Swiss rolls and stuff.
So here's the I listen. I cannot stand any CW shows. They're all garbage. They're garbage.
Oh,
and
The Truth has a good choice. I see Jensen Ackles filling that role pretty okay.
He and I have talked about this many times. We completely agree. 100%. He has voiced Batman many times. He voiced the Red Hood. If ever an animated character could be sexy as hell, it would be Jensen Ackles as the Red Hood. Under the Red Hood is a great anime and highly recommend. He was wonderful at it. He would make a good Batman. He would. I agree. I do. And he's very attractive. I could handle that. Really hope he's not a psycho.
It doesn't sound like he's a psycho. He seems like a down to earth
like,
Texan man.
He gets cast and then he's like running around choking people out.
No, I'm just saying I find him attractive.
Not again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thanks, Obama.
The CW shows are just awful.
They're not what they used to be.
No.
I mean, they were always kind of corny, but like some of them actually were decent. Like Smallville was good. I liked Supernatural up until season 6,
and
right?
When I say CW shows, I don't mean old WB or whatever it was called before. I mean the fucking CW.
Okay, gotcha.
The nightmare that put out the 4400 reboot, which was like, I'm not even getting on that.
You're talking about the CW that does entire episodes of two people sitting in a coffee shop in Toronto, or but it's supposed to be like Gotham City, and then they just sit in
Vancouver. They filmed everything in Vancouver.
That's it, Vancouver. Which makes, I mean, it's a good ad for the city. The place looks awesome.
Right. However,
it's cheap. That's it. That's the only reason they film there.
The Arrowverse is total shit. Sorry, Truth. I know you love the Flash.
When he found his son is when it went off a cliff. When he found his son, the Arrow. When he found his son, it was like 5 seasons. Yeah, he has a son. He ran for mayor.
Oh yeah,
and all that, and then he found that he had a son.
William.
That's when it went. Yeah, that kid is the. It was bad after that.
I really struggled with Arrow because what had happened was CW wanted to do a Batman show, but Fox got the rights and did Gotham. So then the CW is like, all right, well, we'll do Arrow. And since Green Arrow and Batman have such similar stories, we'll just try to take this Batman-shaped peg and stuff it in an arrow-shaped hole. They stole story arcs and stories and origins and everything from Batman, and they made it Green Arrow. And it just irritated me to no end. I just couldn't stomach it because the Green Arrow is the opposite of Batman. Yes, he went through something similar that Batman did, and they're both rich kids and lost parents to murder. But the Green Arrow has a kind of more positive outlook. He's kind of like if you mixed Batman and the Flash together, personality-wise. Then you get Green Arrow. But Stephen Amell's Green Arrow on the CW was Batman. And they even put him in the League of Shadows. And
he had wasn't Ra's al Ghul in there?
Yes, it just bothered me. It just it bothered me. And then I can't get through the Flash. It's so milk toast. I can't. I can't. I know people like it. I'm not a CW fan. I think the DC shows on CW are just super lame and
Gotcha.
underproduced. I like the DC shows on HBO Max. Titans went off the rails, and that could have been way better. I like Doom Patrol because it's stupid and weird, and that's what Doom Patrol's supposed to be. And I love Peacemaker. Those are great DC shows.
Peacemaker was good.
Yeah. CW's got no damn business doing no DC. I'm telling you. So right now they've canceled virtually everything. They canceled the Supernatural spinoff Winchesters, which it wasn't that good.
It didn't look very. They didn't need to. Like, that show went downhill after season 7, so I don't know why they bothered with a spinoff.
If I forget that I'm watching something and I don't go back and watch, it's not good.
There you go.
Right.
Like, I thought Citadel was good at first, and then I totally forgot it existed. So clearly, it's not that good. I need to text Emmett Kennedy and tell him I take back my recommendation. Anyway, CW's been canceling just about everything because it's all shit and it's not getting ratings. So right now they are tossed up between Superman and Lois and Gotham Knights. They're going to keep one, ditch the other. Here's the thing. Out of all the CW shows, Superman and Lois isn't bad.
I've heard good things about Superman and Lois.
It's not bad. There are some things about it that I'm like, oh, lame. But then I'm like, am I just being judgmental because she's got a lazy eye? Like, what's my problem? This isn't that bad. Leave me alone.
Truth
Speaking my truth.
Gotham Knights makes Fox Gotham look like the Breaking Bad.
It does. That was what I was.
That's horrible.
What I was. So I couldn't even get through 5 minutes of the first episode of Gotham Knights because they killed off Batman. He was dead. And Batman had a son that he had adopted who did not know he was Batman. He just had a normal kid who wasn't Robin and didn't know he was Batman. And it was just, they made Harvey, Misha Collins is in it. You know, what's that guy, the angel.
Castiel.
He's in it. Castiel, that's it. I told you, I'm forgetting things. It's driving me crazy. So Misha Collins is in it, and he plays Harvey Dent, but Harvey Dent is more of like a Jim Gordon, and Batman's dead, and his son is named like Tristan or Taylor or something stupid like that, and he doesn't know his dad was Batman, and he meets the Joker's daughter, and it's just so bad and so missed plot, and none of it exists in the comics. It's all total shit. It's the worst ever. And I swear to Christ on the cross, this is my vow, if they fucking cancel Superman and Lois and keep that dog crusty white turd of a show over Superman and Lois, I am going to write such a letter that is going to just
strongly worded letter.
But the Superman and Lois, Taylor Hoechlin is a good Superman. He really is. The way he portrays Superman is Superman. It baffles me how many people think that a dark and broody Superman, like they saw in the Zack Snyder films, is how Superman is. And it's not. Superman is a beacon of hope. He is light. He is joy.
Very positive character overall.
Exactly. Which is why I was never a Superman fan, because I'm like, oh, he's so happy. I don't like it. I like the psychos.
That's why the Christopher Reeve Superman is still my favorite.
Yeah, because he is that beacon of
light. And the way he could transition between being Clark Kent and being Superman just when he'd take his glasses off and stand up straight. It was like night and day. It was so great. And then he could put the glasses back on. And then like that one scene where he was thinking about revealing
that's what popped into my head.
Yeah. He takes the glasses off while she's in there changing, and he thinks better of it, and then he puts them back on. And that right there, I was like, that's Superman. And of course, I was a
Mhm.
kid, so I didn't, have a lot of experiences with it, but that stuck with me through everything.
I
And
hope that they I just hope that, because James Gunn has said this is what Superman is supposed to be: positivity, hope,
Mhm.
joy.
right,
I
truth,
really hope
justice, and the American way.
yeah.
And I've talked to a lot of people about that from different countries that say, oh, we're just going to change it to justice for whatever. But there's a lot of people that American way part is important because of how other countries see America
Mhm.
and how we should see ourselves. And it's, yeah, our country has a lot of problems and it's jacked up in a lot of ways and it's not perfect, but it's the ideal that it is a place that you can go to be free. You have
Mhm.
opportunity. You can show up with nothing and you can make something of yourself. Are there hurdles and was there bad stuff in the past? Sure.
Mhm.
But you're looking, it's just like Star Trek. It's not supposed to be gritty and grimy. It's supposed to be the hope of the future. And this is
Right.
what it can be, what the potential is. And you can see that in other countries as well. It's just that's because America is so much younger than a lot of these other countries that it's like a magnet for that. And
Well,
Mhm.
a lot of the what I've noticed, the main thing that people in this country tend to forget is that our constitution is totally different from any constitution anywhere in the world, because it doesn't say, here are the rights we have given you. That's not
Mhm.
what it says. It's absolutely not what it says. What it says is, here are the rights that God has given you. Here are the rights you were born with, that we have no right to take away. We cannot take away. These are yours. They're inherent to every single living person. You are born with these, and we cannot touch them. That is what makes our Constitution different. But these days, that's being overlooked.
Mhm.
It's looked at as a document that you can just erase things, but
but
it's not.
right.
It's supposed to be, this is what you were born with.
But his thing is, so people are like, well, he's a citizen of the world. No, he's not. He went and crash landed in
Mhm.
Kansas. He was raised as an American with
Mhm.
all the values,
Mhm.
all those things. He went to school. He learned all those things so he's functionally American. Now, that doesn't mean that he can't world travel and learn other languages,
Mhm.
just like regular Americans can do, like I did. I went, and went all over the world and saw how things are different. And I understand that America is not the best at everything, but its potential is there, right? And
Yes.
we do a lot of things really good. There are other places in the world that do things well as well, but that's not what should be taken away from Superman. He shouldn't be like, well, we should take that away from him because it might upset somebody, you know. Um, it- and that is an aspect of his character that I don't think should be changed. But that's just my personal opinion. But anyway,
Mhm.
Well,
just
and
like
if you ever need any proof to say that yes, he is an absolute American citizen, blah blah blah, that because he is the way he is because he was raised in the heartland of the United States, just reference the Elseworlds book, Red Sun. Because if he was Superman, and he was always going to be Superman no matter where he was raised in the world, then why in Red Sun, when he crash landed in Russia and was raised in communist Russia, why did he turn into a dictator, an immortal dictator?
Hmm.
He was raised with
I didn't know
communists.
that.
I highly recommend Red Sun. Go get it now. Go read it.
mhm.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
I've been
it's like a what if kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
if he had
Yeah, the
gone to
DC
Russia?
What If
Yeah.
is called Elseworlds,
Hmm.
and,
Right.
there's actually an animated movie you can watch on HBO Max. It's not as good as the book, but it's still good, and I've always thought it'd be a really good movie, but it's really good. I used to have a copy. I don't know what happened to it. I've been trying to get another copy from my local comic book shop, but He's old, and sometimes I forget. So, really good book. Highly recommend. 1,000,000 stars, and it's a really good way to contradict people who are like, "Well, no, he's a world citizen." No, he's not. Because if he was, why did this happen?
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
All right. So, moving on to our last bit of news. We only got a couple in the other category. Beetlejuice also has a release date of 9/6/2024. Beetlejuice
Has
2.
this even started filming yet?
They were supposed to get ready to start filming. It was supposed to start filming. I believe the script is done, so they can.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's supposed to start filming very soon. They also have added Willem Dafoe and Monica Bellucci to the lineup. And from what I have heard, Monica Bellucci is supposed to be Beetlejuice's wife. He got married. Good for him. She's hot.
Yeah, I was gonna say he hit the jackpot even with all that gunk around his mouth.
No, right? We should have gunk too.
So what are you two looking forward to this? Anybody in the chat looking forward to this movie? Or
I'm whatever about it because these revivals or like long, like way past due sequels are usually pretty lackluster. I think the only
That's what I'm worried
exception.
about. Like
Yeah.
I was a kid. I remember seeing Beetlejuice when it came out, and I loved it. I was a weird kid. I don't know why it didn't scare the shit out of me. It should have, but it didn't. However, it did. The miniseries It. Oh my god, Tim Curry, scary clown. Anyway, I loved it, and I loved the cartoon that came on when I got home from school every afternoon. That was really good too, and everyone always wanted to see what happened afterwards because she was still hanging out with the ghosts in the house we saw. So I'm curious. I'm very curious, and I really hope that they do it right. I really do. That's definitely one that is a classic and deserves to be treated correctly. So far, the cast list I've gotten is Michael Keaton is coming back. They've added Justin Theroux, Willem Dafoe, and Monica Bellucci. That's all I know right now.
Oh, didn't they add that girl from the Wednesday?
Oh, yes, Jenna Ortega.
Yeah.
Jenna Ortega, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, she's going to be in it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
she's good. I didn't really care for the series Wednesday, but I liked her.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
I did not like. I love Catherine Zeta-Jones and I love Luis Guzman. I did not like them as Gomez and Morticia. I didn't. Catherine Zeta-Jones emoted too much. Morticia's very cold and monotone and
stoic. And she should almost float when she walks.
Yes, and she doesn't smile. If she does, it's. But Catherine Zeta-Jones was too happy and warm. It didn't work. But I like Jenna Ortega as Wednesday. She actually did a really good job. I was very surprised. And her little dance that she choreographed was just good for her. She's just a kid and she pulled that off. Good for her. Sadly, Dolph Lundgren has come out and stated that he is fighting kidney cancer. And that's sad. I love Dolph Lundgren. I mean, he is so good at playing someone you hate. Like him in Rocky, I hated that man for years and I wouldn't watch anything he did because I saw him be the Russian asshole in Rocky. He just did too good of a job. But I thought he was decent in Aquaman as Mira's dad. He probably should have smothered that one when she was born because
he really shit the bed on that one,
but I have a bit of and I never use it because I'm not fast enough. But yeah, I need like actual sound thing,
an actual snare next to you. Yeah,
that's what I need, a sound thing. Oh yeah, Winona Ryder is back. I wasn't sure about that. Thank you, Truth.
I think Dolph Lundgren is in a new movie. It's like World War II. I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, really?
But yeah, he's in it as like an officer of like a bunch of black troops in World War II, where they're tankers and they go on like these missions and stuff. But it's it's like a biopic kind of thing. I think it's inspired by history, but I don't think the story is actually historically accurate.
Gotcha.
But anyway, so he's in that. So maybe this was before he got diagnosed or whatever. Because obviously they might have filmed that movie like a year ago or something.
Or he's doing what Chadwick Boseman did and just fucking powered through it and then told us 8 months before he died.
I read an article on it, and like in 2018 they found like this cyst on his kidney, and they did an operation and got rid of it, and then he was clear on all these scans up until a few months ago, and then it came back, and now they're like, hey, it's like spreading and stuff. So
Gotcha. Okay.
the article I read said he got a terminal diagnosis, but then you read down in the article and it's talking about like he's going to fight it and he's still on treatment and all this stuff. So with modern media, you never know what the hell.
Right. And the people that report on that stuff, they
clickbait the title, so you click on it.
Isn't really a disease. It's a mutation of your cells. It is you. It is your cells, but mutated. And it's, I mean, we've made great strides. Like when we were kids in the 80s and stuff, if someone got cancer, that was a death sentence right then and there. You had to get your affairs in order. So things are a little better these days, but still, cancer is so hard to beat and fight because it's your body. It's your body attacking you. It's so fucked up. But I mean, look, Dolph Lundgren is a very fit guy. He's taking care of his body.
So how old is he? 60 or 65?
He's 65, I believe.
Yeah.
He's almost 70. But yeah, he's a fit guy. He's taking care of his body and kidney cancer. It's just sad. Miguel Sapochnik is no longer attached to Hot D. I love the acronym for House of the Dragon. Hot D. Yes, it does.
Yeah, he's 65. He's 65.
Yep. So that was supposed to be spinoff, not spin-odd, but I must have been typing fast. So Miguel Sapochnik is no longer part of House of the Dragon, and I don't think that's a good sign. He's a very good director. He did wonderful with Game of Thrones and the first season of House of the Dragon. So
who's staying on? Are they?
He's just one of the directors. He was the
out of the two that they had. Are they replacing him with somebody? Or
I don't know. I haven't heard anything. I just know that Miguel Sapochnik is like, peace.
Because Hot D came out of nowhere for me.
Hot D comes out of nowhere for a lot of people.
Yeah, it was. But you know what I mean. Like I expected it to be just absolute dog crap. It was going to be a woke nonsense fest, and it was going to be Rings of Power with crappy costumes, and the sets looked amazing. The armor looked good. The weapons looked good. The acting was good. The time jumps were a little bit jarring, like swapping actors so much throughout. But,
they really, I've read the book, and if they really wanted to keep this an ongoing long series, I don't think they should have done that, because what they're basing the entire show on is one chapter.
What was jarring is that some of the actors would change like a bunch, and then they would use the same actor for the role, like for the king or something, and they'd age him up a little bit, but like what's his name's character, Damon, he like didn't age at all.
Well, the problem
throughout the entire show.
The reason why is because
and a caveat, I never read the books.
I can't say his damn name because I'm forgetting shit. But the king, Aerys.
Didn't
I can't say it.
Anyway,
Viserys, that's it.
Yeah.
King Viserys kept getting infections from the throne. He kept getting sick. So he would get sicker weekly weaker, and that's what aged him faster. He was just slowly dying throughout this period, and that's why he looked worse every episode, and why Damon didn't. Because one, Damon's the younger brother. Two, he's not getting stabbed by a rusty, infectious, dirty throne. The throne in the books is not really a throne. It's just this pile of swords that the dragon Baylor on the Dread hit with this fire, melted them together. It's just a pile of 1,000 swords. So it's, you have to like climb up there and like sit on them. So it's all sharp and pokey and rusted and still got other people's blood and dirt and stuff on it. So there was,
you can't put down like a armored chainmail mat or anything to sit on.
It became like this thing to the Targaryens that if you sat on the thorn or the throne and it cut you, you were unworthy to sit.
Right.
You deserved to die.
So basically, the throne killed him over time.
Yes,
because he wasn't a good king.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Basically,
until he came out in that one episode with his pimp cane and went up there like a boss.
So.
Yeah, that was.
I still have not watched Game of Thrones.
Have
you seen it. You've seen the House of Dragons, though, right?
Hey, Hot Tea, you want to?
Oh, you got
I was like, it's a spinoff, so I should probably watch the main series first. I haven't gone around to it. That's all.
It's a huge time investment. Look,
I love
that's why I haven't gone into it. Like I just don't watch TV like I used to.
If you watch Hot D and you've never seen Game of Thrones, you'll never know the difference. Because I was like, none of the. It's like 100 and something years before
183 years
before Game of Thrones. So I watched Game of Thrones. I had no idea. They referenced some people in there, and you see like dragon skulls in the basement and stuff of the castle, and you're like, oh, that dragon is this one, okay? But the show really, like, they're totally separate almost.
Yeah.
So you can watch it and by itself, and it's a good show, and it has a lot of cool stuff happening. Now, maybe in season 2 or 3, it might start connecting more with Game of Thrones, but
Game of Thrones its peak was peak television.
My mom and sister would watch it religiously.
Amazing. We had big rituals every time it came on. Like we turn all the lights off, have roast chicken, and like eat it with our hands.
Yeah, like
really immerse yourself in
like you're at medieval times or whatever.
There was yes, and I remember the last episode I enjoyed was season 8, episode 3, and when Arya's flying through the air towards the Night King, Dave and I were holding each other, going ah! It was great.
That whole battle at the end was just. I didn't like the Battle of the Bastards. I thought that was completely idiotic.
I thought it was so. It was.
I did not like it. The final battle, like how they deployed all their troops. It was like, what are they doing? Why is there artillery outside the wall? I was like screaming at it. I was like, why are you using dragons that way? And I was just like, have you guys not played Age of Empires ever?
Somebody didn't play Risk.
Exactly. Well, it was a little more in depth than that. But the point is that I guess up to season 4, they had book material. And then after that, they just had to do their own stuff, and it progressively got worse.
The show got ahead of the books. Fucking George R.R. Martin is never going to come out with Winds of Winter and Dream of Spring. He's just going to torture us for another 30 years. But also, what happened? The showrunners got tapped by Kathleen Kennedy to go do a Star Wars movie. So the last 2 seasons were like, peace, we're going to do Star Wars. And then they're like, oh no, you're fired. You're not doing it.
Yeah, so it kind of collapsed in on itself because they lost interest in the last, it's like running a marathon and then just kind of gassing out right at the end.
Phoned it in.
Gotcha.
And then they just kind of stumbled across the finish line. Yeah. And spilled.
And I felt like, okay, so I've devoted 11 years of my life to this show and you just peed on me. So
I didn't even start watching it until it was totally done. It had been done for a couple of years before I started watching it.
Oh, well, then you didn't have to suffer like I did.
Exactly. I got to the end and I was like, all right. And plus I binged it like in a couple of weeks.
Dave and I had started dating and I said, look, if you're going to date me, you're going to have to watch Game of Thrones because this is my life right now.
Okay, here, Vex, just watch the first episode of, or the first like 2 or 3 episodes of House of the Dragon. If you think it sucks, then just drop it.
Yeah,
But that's what I recommend. And same with Game of Thrones. But I'm pretty sure you'll be
oh
sucked
yeah,
in pretty quick.
you watch episode 1 of Game of Thrones, it's all over, bro.
Okay,
it's all over.
All right.
It's so good. It's so good. The
Hey, but there were
the
people that did not want to watch House of the Dragon because it led to season 8 of Game of Thrones. That's how much that it. Yeah, it was season 8 was very divisive.
There are petitions for a mulligan on season 8.
Right, they want to redo it totally and have the ending changed and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Well, it's like release the Snyder Cut.
And speaking of Hot D, it's only going to be 6.
Is that because of the writer's strike?
I don't think so. I think it's already written. I've heard that House of the Dragon is good to go because the scripts are complete. But I have heard it's only going to be 6 episodes long. And this was something we dealt with the later seasons of Game of Thrones. It really pissed me off. I'm like, am I going to get 6 fucking episodes of the greatest show on earth?
Well, that seems to be the way that all shows are going. Like, do you remember a season of TV used to be like 23 episodes?
Yeah.
Back in the
23, 24 episodes.
Yeah. And then it
got
like,
down. The British do this, so we should too.
Well, if you take it down to 16 or 12, even that's fine. But 6 episodes, come on. What are they going to do? 4 and then 3 next or something? I mean,
well, that's why I ask if the writer's strike, because I remember when was it the 2007, 2008 writer's strike happened. A lot of TV shows that were on main like cable and everything, they went from like 25 episodes to like 13, 14 episodes for a season.
Mm-hmm. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. The reason it went down to 6 is because they cut all of the dragon fights out. There was going to be in the book, I guess there's all these like dragon fights or dragons everywhere.
The whole thing is dragon fight.
And it's so expensive to do that they were like, well, we're just going to cut it down. And then it's just like, it's like Godzilla movie where it's all about people and there's no Godzilla.
That's kind of weird.
It's going to be like that, which is crazy because it's House of the Dragons. The reason I'm watching the fucking show is for the dragons.
It's just a house now.
It's the dance of the dragons. It's the battle of fire and blood. I got a comment on what White Bear said here. He's totally quoting Dana Carvey. We liked it. We loved it. We were damn proud to have it.
Yeah. And we had to carry these chairs uphill in the snow both ways.
Uphill. But that is all I have for nerdy news. So that means, guys, I have to pee. So I want to thank my guests who have been absolutely awesome and way smarter than me, and their takes are better than mine. So I really appreciate them being here today. First and foremost, Miss Vex Electronica, thank you so much.
My pleasure. It's my pleasure.
3 more to get that sweet jacket. 3 more. You can follow her on Twitter at Vex Electronica, and you can subscribe to her channel at Vex_Electronica. She's pretty cool. Her thumbnails are on point. So
I highly recommend her YouTube channel. Her videos are good. Lots of good intercuts in there, and they're fun and informative.
Thank you.
That's what we like, fun and informative. And she's got great hair. We said that
when
earlier.
It's down.
And of course, my friend Shieldwall of Dragons. He doesn't do the tubes, but he does do the twits. So follow him on Twitter.
I basically just retweet. That's it.
And like a lot of things.
Yeah, like a lot of things. That's it. I don't really have much.
Professional retweeter and guest host. Yeah, you're a professional tweeter and YouTube guest. There you have it.
Yes, and thanks for having me on. I got the 5-time jacket. So
yay!
Right. Yeah.
Let's show everyone your sweet new jacket.
I can't believe there's been 5 times already. It doesn't feel like it. So but then again, I can't remember what I had for breakfast.
I can't remember names anymore. So give everyone a follow, give them a subscribe. If you are new, please subscribe to my channel. because I work very hard on it, and I'm trying to get. Look, I'm having a RAM issue. I'm having a huge RAM issue. I got this new fancy Mac, and then I start editing, and then my Adobe starts acting stupid and slowing down, and I can't do all the fun cuts and edits that I like to do because I have half the RAM that I need for my software, and it's a 2019 Mac, which means I can't install the RAM myself. I have to send it off to Apple and have Apple do that, and that's expensive, and it's just a nightmare. So we're in the process of trying to upgrade my computer situation so I can get back to doing my story and character breakdowns that I do, which is the whole purpose for my effing channel. So if you would like to help with that situation, please scan that QR code over there to help support the channel. You can scan the QR code, or you can visit the link, which is buymeacoffee.com/comicsandmua. You can tip as little or as much as you like to help support the channel, or you can join our Patreon. There are 3 different tiers. The lowest is $3 a month, and you get sneak peeks, updates, behind the scenes, outtakes, tutorials, ask me anything. There's also a request box, you just say, hey, I would like you to break this down, or I'd like you to cover this topic. You get to do that unlimited as much as you want. And sometimes I get bored. I'm like, ask me anything within reason. And that stuff. So that's cool. And you get merch every 3 months if you join the Patreon. So check that out. If you just want merch, you can do that too at the link below. You can get the sweet baseball tee. It comes in every color of the rainbow. We have t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, several different designs. I started uploading featured thumbnails because I like my thumbnails. And the hashtags, like hashtag sexy nerdling, hashtag non-denominational nerd, those are all up there too. So you get it, anything you want with my face on it. Enjoy, have at it. But you can also follow us on all the socials, including TikTok and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. I'm like a venereal disease. I'm everywhere and you can't get rid of me, and you probably shouldn't tell your mother. So find me on the socials. Thank you so much to everyone in the chat for joining us today and staying for 3 hours. You guys are the real heroes. Thank you for that. We appreciate you and we love you. But until then, I'm going to take my glasses off. There we go. Until then, I hope you have a wizard weekend and stay nerdy, babies. Bye.